Mrs. Calhoun that had the measuring stick. Dress was too short.
Okay, it's 8:30. We can start. We are resuming our meeting from yesterday. Go. So we have Emily fire up first.
We need to call for public input.
I do?
Yeah, because it's a whole new meeting each day.
I think I just resumed the meeting from yesterday. Public input. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Public commentary will generally be limited to 3 minutes per person. Any public comments? Zoom? Okay, now we can go. So you were just saying that on the capital outlay was 7,300 instead of 7,000.
Yeah, that's Rodney said it was right around there.
Yeah,
Is what they spent. So. There, I wasn't all for it at first, but then we did have a structure fire that the equipment got wet and trying to dismount off the top of that truck was pretty sketchy.
yes.
I even fell once on the ground, was frozen. I came around the point of the truck and slipped and landed on my shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, everything was freezing in the middle of winter.
So it is a good asset to have.
Yes,
So what is it exactly? Is it just a remote control thing, apparatus?
Yeah, it goes on the top of the truck with, it's a sprayer that you can control from the cab. Right now we have to climb up.
You have to climb on top.
Yeah, there's some little steps and a bar that you have to step on to get on top, and then you're standing on a bunch of hoses and stuff while you're up there, but it's hand operated now to spray.
And that goes on the fire truck?
Yes.
So I thought we do that for other fire departments?
Yes.
But we didn't do it for you?
No.
So have we tried pool pack? Because didn't we?
Not for me, I haven't tried.
But didn't we try it for other ones?
I think Rye Patch.
Okay, so
Oh,
I'm not saying.
Did get a grant. It didn't come in until the beginning of this year, but they spent the money last year, but it was like 4,000 something.
Yeah. So I'm just going to inquire on pool pack.
Okay.
I'm not saying take it out. I'm just gonna, but if we can do that.
Save some, yeah.
Because it sounded familiar.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to have to increase the heat for this current projection. What I'm talking about, Jerry, this is where we're at year to date this year. We estimated 2,000, so this number's got to be at least that high or higher.
Oh, I see.
So I think we just
Oh, take it back to 3,000.
yeah, because I think we
45
just,
last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at the previous year before that was 25. I don't know why the big jump there is.
well, the actual activity for
45.
last year was 4,500.
And the year before was almost 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe what's it got to go to then?
Like 3,500. That's not the direction we want to go. And then next year is going to have to be at least 3,500 too.
Yeah, yeah, 3. It's hard with jumping around as much as it did. I didn't know that where to go. I did order the bumper and winch out of last year and received it, but there's a couple separate items. We had to take it out of the capital outlay because they're not $3,000 a piece, I guess. So they're going to take it out of small equipment, but she said that capital outlay would cover it.
Do you have more people that are going to have physicals before the end of the year?
You know, mine's coming up, and I don't think so. That's, so as far as I know, everybody's caught up on physicals. I thought it was every 2 years, but it's every 3 years for under 50.
Because so far it says we've not spent anything, and you've got 1,600 in there. I don't know how much a physical.
They're like 490, I think.
So 500, could we lower that to 500?
For this year, yeah. But
You're the only one that needs one now?
I think so. That's what
How
I'm
many
looking-
is in your department?
We have 8 right now.
8,
Yes.
and the limit is
15,
15 or 16?
15, I think. Yes. I have had a couple people
See,
wanting on, but then
I'm showing your maximum number is 10. That's what I figured the deemed wage at for the PERS.
I was told it was 15, but
If it increased to 15, I don't know.
Well, it's not likely you're gonna go over 10.
oh
is
no,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, so the 10 should be.
I'm hoping I can get to 10.
Yeah.
Are you gonna spend all of your small equipment and tools for this year?
Yeah, I've got some hoses and an adapter to get a leaf blower that I was looking into.
And then your capital outlay for this year, 3,500, what were you purchasing this year?
I got the bumper and winch and it's here already. It's just Bonnie has the,
Was it over
Gotcha.
3,000?
I can't, no, it came to like 2,700, I think.
Okay, so that really has to go into small
That's,
equipment, isn't it?
For
Yeah.
this year, we could zero out the capital equipment, but then we need to put it up in the small equipment.
right. Yeah. Our threshold for capital outlay is 3,000.
3,000.
So we just need, and I'm sorry. you said
And
it was
when I
20.
got that, had Jeff work it up for me, we were thinking it was gonna be over 3,000.
Sure.
What I put in for it.
Yeah.
That
Let's
was-
make it.
And that's not with the price installed and everything. I thought it was like one package. So I've got, have some lights on the way for it too. And
Oh,
I was thinking it all in one package, but I guess it doesn't work that way. So
So you probably are still gonna spend all that.
who's going to install it?
Jeff and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Right. So Reed, what are we, how much are we?
I would move the full 3,500.
Yeah, that's
just to
what
be
I'm
on the
saying.
Safe side after, because you'll get a maintenance work
So-
order from the road
Yeah.
department.
So 6860, is that what the total would be? Yeah, yeah.
6860, and then zero it out for this year under capital outlay.
Mhm. Okay.
if you look at the training, I went down quite a bit on that. I was told that Humboldt County was gonna charge us for everything and they haven't been. So
And they haven't been?
yeah, so I lowered it way down.
That's great.
You know,
We like that.
yeah, they typically give us everything free. We pay for our CPR classes and stuff like that, but that's pretty cheap.
Good job.
All righty, appreciate it.
So now it's to work.
Yep, go play in the dirt.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Jerry, how did the fogging go this year for mosquitoes? Did
Oh,
we do that much? I can't remember.
yeah, we did quite a bit. And people say it was helping, you know,
They feel it's better than the plane, so
yeah,
as long as they're happy.
yeah. That's, I guess that's what counts. you
You're
know?
not gonna keep them happy.
And then I heard there's an individual that's gonna do private party stuff out there in Emily this year. He's talking about spraying your trees and that kind of stuff
Okay, good.
for bugs and stuff. So,
Is that one of their members of their
yeah,
group? Yeah. Yeah, he said that in meetings out there.
yeah. So he's talking about
Yeah.
Spraying that. I had him actually do some weed, spray for the weeds around the firehouse.
Is he gonna charge or? is he-
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
But it might help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. So,
Road department is multiple colored tapestry. And
So-
then landfill is 40.
so we haven't talked about it, but PERS went up. PERS is going up, right?
For employees,
Yeah, yeah.
and Chris has it all figured out.
And then for public safety, fire and sheriff. I
Yeah,
thought it
those
was
percentages, but I don't think that it affects the way, are you talking about for like the fire departments? Because that's calculated a little bit differently.
Yeah. But I thought it had gone up to about almost like 40-some%. I'll have to look for the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't increase it because we always put in for their maximum number and they never have, so we always have a little extra.
yeah.
Could we do a landfill first? That'd be a big deal.
No, that's fine. So if you
No
want
use
to
for
go
both of us.
to number 40.
So you want Mitch to go back to work too?
Yep.
You're tough. Late, guys. Now, on landfill in the revenue, the assessment amounts that I have are the true current ones that I got from the board. And if you notice, I upped the depreciation because last year that was one of our findings. I didn't have enough allocated, so this year I bumped it up. It looks like we're gonna have to increase the vehicle expense because the year to date is higher than estimated.
I was still hung up on the ending fund balance. Oh, see how it's gone down so much because we really do need to increase the assessments. Green, what are pension costs?
That's the
Let me look at that a
liability
minute, would you?
that is the auditor's figure every year
Oh,
because
okay.
it's a proprietary fund.
Right, okay.
So they usually get printouts from payroll and then they do their calculations. It's like one of those OPEB requirement type things.
It's a gas, is it gas bill too? Yeah.
You bumped up recycling expense. What do you got going on there?
What I bumped up there is actually putting the 5 or 6 hour employee under that line item and not up in salary expense.
Like it's been, is that where it's been or?
It's been going defaulting to the salaries and wages of landfill, and it should, since it's a recycling wage, it should go under the recycling line item.
So I need to finish adjusting the vehicle expense.
You got Mason?
They never adjusted the vehicle expense. Did you?
No, I'm thinking, well, last year it was 12,000.
Yeah.
something. We got some equipment out of the landfill that might need more work. Do you get all the skills? Sure.
No, I don't think so. That's why we lowered it.
So the only thing is the alignment on the pickup, but.
Because we're saying we think we're gonna come in at 4,000 this year, but the actual year to date that we've spent is $5,642. And that probably has to do with the landfill repair that was done in February. Did your road guys probably worked on something in landfill?
I don't know, not that I know of. You remember anything, man?
We had,
Well, your pickup was down there for quite a while.
right, the pickup was down there for a bad controller. And then it was down there in October for a tune-up and brakes. They didn't rotate the rotors, but they did replace front shocks and ball joints and such. Because those were worn out. So, let's see, the only thing left on that.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I didn't, when I filled this out, I didn't have that. But, I don't know.
So do we
I'm
need
showing
to?
3,500.
Yeah, the CI ran this report this week, so I'm thinking it's the month end entry that I need probably in to see we've already spent this amount.
Yeah, wow.
So do we need to raise that 4,000 to 6,000? Is there anything else? I realize you don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But we could raise it to 6, at least for right now.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then next year, should we do 6 as well? I mean,
I think so.
are you going to get by for fuel with just 3,000 more for this, for the next 3 months? To date, you spent 12,000. Last year it was 20,000.
We're budgeted 25 for the year, correct?
Yeah, but you're estimating for the rest of the year only 15. So does that need to go up? Because that only gives you 3,000 more, 1,000 each month. I don't know how much fuel you use. And I'm sure March is not in here yet too.
No,
so
no,
March,
not
April, May, June, July.
March, April, May, 4 more months.
4 more months. So yeah. So does that need to go to 20? I mean, we're not going the right way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm sorry. That's why you're here. Keep us in line. Okay, equipment repair. Do you really think that you're going to use 35,000 this year?
Yes, ma'am.
I need you to lower it a little bit to make up for the ones that we raised now.
Well, we got an expensive repair looming for the dozer. I'm still waiting on a quote, as a matter of fact. We get the quote. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I done that.
Okay.
Repairing that
Not
dozer is not cheap.
No, I'm hoping it's not that expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was my best guesstimate at the time.
Is anyone else going to need physicals this year? Because we're going to have to up that 250 because we've spent 375 already. But is anyone due? It's just you and
Steven started in June. But no, actually, because DMV has been slow on its CDL, we could push that into the next budget year.
so we just need to make this one 375 for this year, right?
Well, but we never know when one of them will get.
Oh, the drug test. Oh,
So we have to go.
how much is the drug test?
If it's just the drug test, it's like $60.
But it depends
If
on
they
the
get drug
drug.
and alcohol, it's higher.
So 475 for this year? God, I'm going the wrong way. First aid, are you gonna spend, you've only spent 75, are you gonna spend 300 total?
Not that I know about. Unfortunately, we don't know when that guy's gonna come out, what he's gonna put in the first aid kit. Last time he came up, I wasn't there when he did. I don't want him stocking a first aid kit and a bunch of stuff we don't need.
Yeah.
And so
Neither
I
do
want to
I,
be able
right?
to, I want to be able to stop him and say that,
Yeah.
we need to replace what we use, nothing more.
It's fine just like it is.
I can't remember what I was thinking there, what I put for you. Yeah.
Okay.
It probably doesn't need to be that high by any means.
Well, I mean, even if we changed it to 150, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. I need some thousands of dollars.
And they did the blasting. You still got that to do.
No, blasting's done.
It is done.
Dan and I spoke about it, talking about the high wall on the backside of the pit, but I think that's something right now we can wait. Move that further down the
Yeah. How long ago did they do that?
road. They did the last blast. I thought it was in last budget year.
Well, that's why I'm wondering. You still have 35,000.
We got billed, yeah.
Yeah.
You got
This
billed,
is fiscal year.
right,
Absolutely.
okay.
So is there any way to know how much the disposal transportation costs from like Grass Valley and Emily? They bill us. Is it all one bill?
Oh, no, it's based on how many bins they haul.
But it doesn't tell us what part is Grass Valley?
Oh, absolutely.
Because what I'm thinking is we need to look at Grass Valley's landfill fees
Also,
and Emily
Emily, and does that Unionville and Emily combined?
No,
and Unionville, and then see what those people are paying and make sure that it's covering.
That's what we're looking at is.
Well, yeah, we need to raise the rate in Grass Valley just for the. cleanup.
Exactly. That's what we're looking at.
You know, we've threatened to forever. And we absolutely. need to
Well,
do that. They
we're
need to
gonna
pay
get it
more.
done, but.
Yeah.
So is there any way that Jeanette can do that for us? You know, give us that information?
You probably already have that.
Well, but
What, the landfill?
The breakdown.
Yeah.
Grass
The
Valley.
the invoicing from.
Oh, the invoices from Haas.
Yeah, so you can tell which one goes to where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could probably look it up. But my
She already has
system
it.
doesn't work over here for some reason.
But anyway, we need to know that. We need to know what it's costing for Grass Valley and then separately Emily and then Unionville.
And I know it was on in yesterday's invoices,
Okay.
but I don't have any of those prints.
And then what it's costing you for cleanup and stuff.
That might take a minute.
Well, you can ballpark it, you know.
Well, yeah, it's just,
Yeah,
and
no,
I
just,
plan on doing that, but I gotta go back to my diary again. It's gonna be.
yeah. But I was thinking Jeanette could
Yeah,
help
I
with
need to
that.
do that info.
Yeah.
How soon do you need that info?
Before
By the next meeting.
Yeah, before next
The
meeting.
first meeting in April.
Perfect.
It would just have the total.
because of all of this year, Grass Valley all along has always fluctuated.
Yeah.
But this year, I've also noticed that we're having an issue at Unionville because we're getting a lot more bins out of Unionville.
Really?
Normally, Unionville's about every 5 weeks. We're now getting Unionville every 3 weeks. So, and unfortunately,
I
that's
wonder
most expensive one. A
Some-
lot of it
somebody
has
else
to be
bringing stuff out
storage
there?
stuff. I thought, when it's so far out,
Yeah.
I don't know who would waste a few. Of course, we've got people in Grass Valley from Carlin. So.
From Carlin?
Mhm.
They come down to do their shopping.
Geez. Yeah, at Unionville, though, somebody's not gonna drive from Mill City out there just to dump.
Is anything
You
coming
wouldn't think
from,
so.
is anything coming from the mine? Because there's a mine out.
No, most of this looks like farm and ranch stuff,
Mhm.
and then like storage. Someone's cleaning out like a huge shop or something. Because we had 2 bins come in. By the time it was all said and done, it was only about 10 yards of trash, but it was all cardboard boxes. None of them were crushed down. And but the folks called and said it was stolen. And technically it was. We've got no way up there to crush all that stuff down. You know, so, but it has been a lot. There's been some demo stuff, but most of it's just household trash. And like I said, that's really odd for the area, unless some of the ranches down in the lower part around Unionville got rid of their burn barrels, stopped burning in their pits, or whatever the case may be.
Maybe people are moving out there.
Well, there are a lot more
Mhm.
people out there, but
Yeah.
I don't think it would be.
I don't see that many to change the
Yeah,
time
I
every
know.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of waste.
So Dan, I don't want to put a burden on you, but can Jeanette help with that?
She can, no,
No?
not the part about the guys.
Okay, but about the,
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
good.
not that big a deal.
Okay.
I'll get it. It might not be exact.
no, just ballpark. We just need a ballpark.
No, I need to anyways. I need to charge for our road.
Oh, okay.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you're gonna charge it.
Just break them further, so, yeah.
You know,
But
small,
yeah, we need-
small equipment and tools, you really dumped the amount of budget for next year. You sure you want to go that low?
Are you in small equipment?
$140?
$140.
Yeah,
That's, I mean, that's way low. That's one trip to Napa.
That's not even a trip to Napa.
Huh?
That's not even a trip to Napa.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's way too low. I don't know if it just needs to go back up to the 500.
I don't know what I was thinking there. I can tell you.
Let's go back up to 500. That's,
And then this next page, this is the payment for the dozer, is that what it is?
Loader.
Loader. What do I know? They all look the same to me.
I have a question. Where's Grass Valley?
Yeah, I know, I was looking at that.
Well, you guys are paying one to go out there sporadically to get people who don't live in Grass Valley.
But why can't the sheriff just pick it up? So it's helping out.
Really, Carol?
No, I know what I just said, but I mean.
Yeah, well, it has been in there for,
Oh, okay.
I don't know for how long. It's been there for a while though.
Before I took
4 years. Yeah, that was something that Brian and Jerry had discussed. And,
I don't know if they're even doing this.
So do they actually ticket people?
They have in the past, but I don't know when the last time. they
We
did
need
that.
$4,074 worth of tickets.
And that's 1 8-hour day per month?
Yeah. Overtime, it says.
Who's our Grass Valley deputy?
Is it John Rogers?
So they had designated a deputy to go up there and do that, to keep the
Oh.
resident free.
An
So their
overtime
decision was
deputy.
to have the landfill cover that,
Well,
to
ask
keep
Reed when she
the-
comes back.
keep the resident.
Yeah, whether or not they're
Is-
doing that, I
Is it
don't know.
happening though?
I don't
No,
know.
we haven't, that was kind of a one-time thing.
Okay.
Enforcement thing that had been done out there. And unfortunately, it was not very fruitful. There were citations that came out of there, but none of the citations were regarding illegal dumping or anything like that. It was vehicle issues, it was driver's license issues. So nothing that I know of, none of the citations were related to illegal dumping. The folks have too much of a view coming down to the transfer site. They see that sheriff's office truck sitting there, they don't stop.
Well, that'd be your $4,000.
Yeah.
There's your 4,000.
Yeah. So
So why did we leave it in there last year?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was something
That we missed.
Apparently.
that was going to be done again.
Well, if it's ineffective, then why
Yeah,
throw $4,000 at it?
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I don't think they've been doing this.
And they may not have been charging us too. We'll have to ask Green. Even though it's in the budget, we may not have been paying it. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
No, no. No, you're fine.
So what else can we change?
Well,
Small equipment. We changed from 140 to 500.
And then everything else, we put capital outlay and disposal, all that stays the same.
well, I was wondering what is the 31,000 under equipment for?
That,
2 dump trucks.
give you that capital outlay.
I'm not seeing it. It's just me.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
Did we have one there?
We just bought a dump truck. Right? Yeah.
How much do we have, did we pay for that?
I don't know what happened to it. I don't have a copy of it.
I don't use it down there. It's not finding it.
Well, you might have put that in there just because that's what it's been, but
And there wouldn't be any activity on this report because I printed this.
Well, there's 7,000.
there's, yeah. How much was the dump truck? Did you? 7, so it's posted here then, it looks like. So are you gonna buy any more equipment?
We're gonna get them another dump truck if we can. And
So
hopefully
what do you think that would be?
another 7 grand probably, Carol, but I don't.
So would 10, can we make this 20,000 for this year instead of 31?
Mhm.
Would that give you enough?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
And then next year you got 31,000 again.
Yeah, because at the time,
Yeah.
they're striking out. So, yeah.
So,
we can,
You don't know what you're gonna have to buy next year.
so
yeah,
what,
I don't-
do you need 31 in there or,
Yes.
and then maybe not spend it? I mean,
yeah,
can
Hopefully
we,
you don't spend it, but you
well,
need it in there.
can we lower it like to
Can we
20?
lower it to 20?
Well, I think in our shopping, we haven't found a lot of open market trucks that are under that 30,000 mark.
Okay, are we still talking about dump trucks or are we still talking? Okay,
Yes.
for this year, we moved it to 20,000. So I asked if another 13,000 would cover for this year if you buy another dump truck.
Yeah.
Do you think so? I mean, I'm just
Well, yeah,
asking.
we'll hold out for a state one now. We got one, so we're not limping along. But we
Okay.
definitely, he wants another one. We'll try to get him another one, but we'll try to do state purchasing.
Okay,
We weren't getting any for like, I don't know how long it's been.
Yeah, they were always beating you to it.
Yeah, and
so
they-
then for
so-
next year, what kind of equipment do you think you're gonna need? And I know it's crystal ball time, but I mean, if you got 2 dump trucks, you're not gonna need more dump
As far
trucks.
as I know, other than the future dump truck purchase, I don't foresee anything. Both of our pickups in decent enough shape. We only one run to Grass Valley. So
So
20,000?
I was thinking 15. I mean,
I'm thinking 31, leave it right where it's at.
right, because that's what I'm saying. We have not, for 3 years, we've had absolutely nothing from state purchasing
Right.
available to us.
But-
So going open market on these, open market, we don't get the deal that we get at state purchasing. So we're looking at, like I said, most of the trucks we looked at were a minimum of 30,000 for a
Okay.
10-wheel dump truck.
Yeah.
okay,
So-
but my question though is, you're gonna try and get another dump truck this year. So next year, if you have 2 dump trucks, you're gonna need another dump truck?
Mike,
Why, how
Do you
many
need
dump
2 or 3
trucks?
dump trucks?
No, you
There's
don't
2
even need to,
employees.
really.
why are you trying to short them?
To make the ending fund balance bigger.
Because
There's one in the hole.
Right.
I
you
agree.
already purchased 1 dump truck and you're wanting to purchase 1 more.
Yes, ma'am. And that's plenty.
Well, what I'm thinking is, instead of 31 for next year, I mean, 15 or 20,000? Tell me what,
15.
15?
would be
15 's fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Reen, we have a question on the salaries. The Grass Valley deputy for 1 8-hour,
Day a month.
yeah,
That's an item that we put in way back when, 3 or 4 years ago. It's never been used. I had Chris leave it there. If you don't want it there, we should take it
I
out.
think take it out.
we'll delete it.
If they're not using it.
Yeah, if they're not, if it's not effective and they're not using it.
I
why-
don't think they've been doing it. Again, it was put in 2 or 3 years ago and we just left that line item in there.
Sure.
No, there's been more swing bys by the resident, and we moved away after the first trial and that, we moved away from just having someone sit out there.
You know, they still go out there.
Oh, yeah.
They're just not charging separately.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and this was to be there the whole day, not to be.
A special deal.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
and
John's out there. John's pretty effective at
Mhm.
his job.
He's not out there. no more.
Huh?
He's not out there no more.
He's not?
Rogers, who is out there now?
Well, Nicholson and
Yeah.
Thornhill is the deputy. out there.
Okay.
Johnny's here. He got promoted, so he's out of that.
He's
Oh,
a
he's a
sergeant.
sergeant, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Mm.
But I mean, I'm sure he's up there running around a little bit too. He's not scared.
You're not supposed to say that.
Well, hey, wherever, the lawbreakers, I'm good with it.
Pretty
Put 'em all in
effective.
jail.
Yeah, I like him. Okay, we did enough damage to that. Thank
Cushion the
you.
blow.
So now we'll go to road department, which is about 2.
I didn't scrutinize the deputy thing. It wasn't on my
Oh,
paper. I
it's-
just
Don't worry about it.
received the sheets. So,
We didn't notice it last year, you know,
yeah,
so,
how did that get by, huh?
yeah,
We
really.
didn't go line by line last year. You
Yeah, I
guys
think the sheriff was ahead of you. We were
10%.
probably shell shocked.
10%. Another 10%.
I did get some revised revenues for the fuels tax in the final ones from the state. But the only thing that it's increasing probably about $2,000.
Wow, the road department's going down too.
Yep.
It's too bad we can't have some of the diesel tax in here.
So where does the diesel tax go?
It goes
RTC. Just an RTC.
the regional streets.
I'm working it up every angle I can. Absolutely. I got it.
Oh, I know.
Or you want me cut, Carol? How much you want to cut?
No,
I don't want to cut anything.
I wasn't, I'm still on revenue. I'm looking at what we come in. And I know,
Wages keep going up, but we never look at that. I don't get involved in that.
well, I just was looking how much comes in and
I think that
only
should be
just
looked at.
$1 million comes in taxes, gas tax.
Don't know. We get better, it looks closer to me this year than last year, like
Yeah.
we gained a little bit. Anyhow, I was gonna say, the chemical. I've been hammering the regional streets for that, and I put that in my budget for regional streets as well this year, and it flew, nobody cut it. So I think we could zero that out for the road if we wanted to. Say 10
For
grand.
chemical and freight,
Yeah,
we've spent $5,936.
that was before I knew I could put it on.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can't for this year, but for 22 is what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha.
Zero it out for 22.
Yeah, and
Take it completely to zero.
yeah, I think so. And I won't be spending any more this year on it, so that number can go
Go down
away
to
too.
6,000 maybe.
Yep.
So I'm back up at power. For this year, we're saying 4750, but we've spent 6,600 last year. Don't we need to move that up to cover?
I don't know, Ken. I don't know why it was so cheap, except that I've been real vigilant about not plugging trucks in. I don't know if it's our shop. I haven't had time to delve into it.
I'm just thinking that we need to move it at least till Guy.
Maybe the deputy insinuated that we're playing for the power for them up there anyway too.
Yeah, yeah.
But, probably anyhow, Carol, that's how I just was doing some projection there. And like I said, I didn't want to go way back because if you go to 2019, it was 7, then it goes to 66. But it looks like this year's going to be under 5. So
well, we
I
still
don't
have
know.
4 months though
right.
to put in. So I'm thinking maybe we need to at least put 6. I think it'd probably be more than that. Yeah, for
For
this
the
year.
projection.
Yeah.
For
Well, I
this
more
year.
than doubled what I doubled what was there because this was 6.5 months in.
Mm.
Figured that was sufficient, but I don't care.
Right now, we're at almost 44.
Because we have
See.
another couple months. I know it's hard.
Another 4 months.
When you do it, there's still a couple months not in there. That's
Even when I do these reports
6 months left
and
when
then
we do
print
our
them and then another thing post to it.
See, I didn't know that. I thought that was current.
It was
You would
current
have-
in January when she gave us the sheets.
You have to take that sheet
Yeah.
total divided by 6.5 months, then allocate 12 months.
Yeah.
And sometimes
So anyhow, so you want to raise the 21 projection?
to 6.
Hope that's enough. Keep 22 the same.
Yeah. I mean, you were at 7, then you dumped it to 6. And
Yeah, that's fine.
And that works unless we have a really cold winter and you have to
Yeah.
plug your trucks in.
Like I said, I had a hard time explaining that and investigate it, but I have not been plugging in trucks in. It's ridiculous. You know, we used to we sit there and fry all winter. I'm worried about fire too. So, yeah, I just pretty concerned about it. It's not gonna be cold. I go and plug them all.
Yeah.
Do you have enough in vehicle expense for this year?
No.
we're still gonna buy a
Or
dump
no,
truck.
excuse me, vehicle expense, I thought we were doing all right, Carol.
Oh, okay.
year to date, we're at 15,625.
For vehicle.
Vehicle expense, yeah.
So that's less than 5,000 for
Right.
4 of our needs. Is that going to be enough, you think?
I don't know, I was going by 6.5 months. It said 9,800. Now it's up to 15. I don't know.
Last year it was almost 25,000.
Oh, I know. Roger that.
I'm thinking maybe we need to raise that.
To 25.
25, yeah.
And then Lacey brought up the phone.
Yeah, but that goes back in under revenues.
Reen, can you look, is your computer working? Oh,
So,
no, that's okay. Because on the phone, I don't know if it's enough. Because it was 2350. Well, that's you. Okay. I never know.
I keep trying to hang up on it.
Do we need to move the phone up a little bit to like 24 or?
Yeah, probably, because it was almost 24 last year,
Uh-huh.
and 23 the year before. So 24.
Yeah, and then next year, 2,400 too? Thank goodness you zeroed out the chemical.
If you take the 1289 and divide it by 8 months, it's like $162 a month. I think we need like 2,600.
26?
Because I know, didn't we have an increase in our phone?
Yeah, when they redid the contract, the state contract, everybody's went up a little bit.
2,600 for both.
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you have enough money in fuel expense for this year?
We're all right, Carol.
Because last year you spent 144,000.
What do you got?
We're at 83,170.
So that just gives you less than 27,000 left. 20, 30. 37,000. Does that need to go up to 130 maybe?
I don't know, if you take what he's got divided by 9 months, because, well, I take that back, because
8 months.
yesterday's run wouldn't have been in those totals.
So 8 months. So it's like 10,000, just over 10,000 a month. And we got 40, so 150. About.
I'm thinking, because year before it was almost 169.
Yeah. Well, no, the year before was 144.
And then 2019 was
169.
Yeah.
That's when fuel prices were higher.
Oh,
then.
and they're going to go up.
And they're gonna go up.
Right.
So 155 maybe.
For this year,
And then next year,
at least be better.
oh, I think 160, because the way it's going, close down the pipeline. I mean, geez.
California, they're already $4 a gallon
Mhm.
plus.
Yeah. And I'm going in a couple weeks to California. Always makes me crazy because
Equipment repair. You have big issues with the dozer?
That's not for us. So that was the
Oh, okay.
landfill. And I confirmed with Jeff that figure I wrote down is gonna be awful close. They quoted us 23,000 Cashman to do the work. And when the smoke clears, I'm sure it'll be more, like close to 30. It always is with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I don't know, have not had time to figure out if there's other places that can do those repairs. Someday we might look at that. But, it's expensive, you know, Cashman's expensive. And they end up upselling it, what happens a lot of times. They come out with a new improved something. And so but what I'm trying to spit out is that 31,000 is going to be close. And we could easily have another repair too before that on some, well, actually, as a matter of fact, yeah, Mitch wants to do tires on the old loader. And if we could squeeze that, you know, if the dozer comes in under that, we might use that money to put tires on that loader there. 1,200 a copy. So.
do you have anyone that's going to have physicals before the end of the year?
I wouldn't tell it, Carol. I really have no idea.
Okay. I just was
I
wondering.
could find out. But,
And then you have the random drug testing too. So.
yeah. What's it repair the date?
88,536.
That only gives you not that much left.
Eight or nine.
It only leaves you about 24,000 for future repairs.
It's like 8 months. So 11,000 a month.
We have to fix travel. Is the travel going to Reno to pick up equipment and stuff that's, I don't know what you use the travel. Is that for when we went and picked up some equipment or something, or?
We went to look at them dump truck.
Okay.
To Idaho too.
Because we have 316 spent. So are you going to be charging anything more?
I don't anticipate that. Well, never know, but I need to look for a water truck, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So should we make that? I don't know what.
So you're still looking for a water truck or another dump truck?
Oh,
You really need the dump truck.
He needs both.
No,
For the landfill.
You don't?
this is for the road department.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no.
So travel.
We are, if we get a, Tim, whether we're gonna get one.
Yeah.
It's not imminent. The water truck is definitely right.
That's
Very-
what really
very high
needs it,
priority,
yeah.
And that, this just came up. It, I was planning on putting a tank on an existing water truck's pretty decent shape, with the frames cracked on it. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
So now it's. So anyways, I
Do we need to increase your travel?
probably, yeah,
So to 500?
yeah, that'll work.
Training. And training for this year, only 500?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we're good.
Okay. Road maintenance.
And that
Is-
whole Canyon road maintenance is that annual agreement that they give us 10,000 for him to go out and repair those areas. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So shouldn't we be spending 10,000 then this year? If they,
I asked the auditor about it and she said it's more of a, just a service that it doesn't have to balance. like a
Okay.
grant does.
okay. Just as long as they don't come back and say, well, you're not spending
We
it.
spent almost half of it.
Yeah,
We'll
That's-
definitely be up there doing more repairs. I don't know if we'll have time to get 5,000 on the ground. But we probably will. It's gonna be awful close.
because see, for this year, you only put in 8.
Right.
So should it go back to the 10?
No, that's,
8's okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Road and bridge, that is one that. When we didn't have that much money in regional streets, we had to keep that for a safety net.
Yep.
Always kept it right there and tried not to spend it. Sometimes we do, most of the time we don't. So I cut that one in half. I don't know if that's.
Okay, no, that's good. Thank you. And development impact fee, that's where somebody's doing something and then they reimburse us, but this is where the expenses?
No, that is money that is restricted and it's used for Grant Patch area.
Okay,
And I just made myself a note because if he's gonna spend 10,000 next year, I need to bring in that deferred revenue and increase the revenue here to cover that.
okay.
So I made myself a note to make sure I get that put in the revenue side.
But you're not gonna spend anything this year?
No.
Okay,
And he doesn't usually do it every year. It's every, what, 3 or 4 years?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. And like I said, that money is restricted, so it can only be used for when he does it, we make that move, but it does have to be a budgeted item.
$10,000 spent next year.
But what is covered, I think just leave it at 10, we don't use it all. We true up the revenue to expenses and put that money back.
So for this year, 80,000 in equipment. What are you buying this year?
Water truck.
Yeah.
Okay,
I hope. I don't know if 80,000 will get one bought.
Yeah, and it's not like Nevada Purchasing has a water
a water
truck.
truck.
No.
And the vehicle is the truck that you just got, and that is not in here, because that was just paid yesterday.
And will 28 cover it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was 27,800 or something, so very close, yeah.
That was a good deal. You did good. Okay.
Then I don't know if you want to talk about 22. That is going to replace our crew cab. The 1 ton has over 200,000 miles on it.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, and the equipment trailer that you've been needing for a long time.
Yeah. Get that.
You did good, Dan. Thank you.
About the yeah, there. I don't know the small equipment. And I'm sure I discussed all this stuff with Mitch.
Well, when you do all this in January, we're looking at it in March. Things change, so don't feel bad.
That when I was writing it down too, trust me.
It would be nice if we could do all of this within a week's time, but there's no possibility.
You'd be screaming. You'd be
I'd be setting a cot up over there.
Well, some departments get her information right away and others don't.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I did one of the department's budget session because I never did it.
Yeah. So you did awesome, Dan. Thank you.
So did you have it all up, Carol? Are we good or what?
Well, you had a little bit of wiggle room. We took away, we added. Green's
Yeah.
gonna have to tell
You
us.
should be okay though, because if I add those impact fees for the right patch road, that'll make the increase in revenue help.
You're in better shape than the general fund is. A lot better shape. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, we have a library now, that's multicolored tab 5.
Library, I did law library.
Either way.
Morning. Good morning. How are you, Kathy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Are we going to have a library board meeting?
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Well, 2 Mondays from now.
Yeah.
29th, I think.
I'll have to participate. via Zoom. Because I'll be traveling, but I'll do that.
Okay.
You're going to talk about reopening, right? In the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So. Kathy, under postage, you have just over $1,000 and you've only spent 72. That's for sending materials to other libraries.
Right.
Do you really think, have you been doing that much of it?
No, because with the pandemic, everybody closed down. And so we weren't sending materials back and forth. And, you know, it's hard to know. We may not start interlibrary loan again this year, this fiscal year. But, you know, I added that in there just in case. So we would be covered, you know, if we do start sending things.
Could we change it to 500 for this year instead of 1,000?
Probably, sure.
I think that would give you plenty. And every year I ask about adult materials.
I remember asking that last year.
When I was my first year, I went, adult materials, what are you guys doing?
We have a secret collection.
Password protected.
You have to know the, you know, the password to get in there.
Yeah, there's a back room, right?
Yeah.
Juvenile.
There's the cooperative library network agreement.
The cooperative, they take care of our catalog. We get our databases through them. It's almost all of the smaller libraries. It's not Washoe and it's not Clark, but it's most of the other counties. And so, you know, we pool our money and we're able to get better deals that way. And then we have somebody who takes care of the catalog, you know, and make sure all of our databases are running and everything. Each library pays a different amount depending on how many patrons we have. And then, so there's the set amount that we pay. And then there are, it's kind of like a cafeteria plan. You can pick and choose from some of the other things. And, you know, a few of the libraries take this one and, you know, everybody takes that one. And, you know, so we're getting overdrive there. We would never be able to afford overdrive on our own. That's the ebooks and, you know, the online books and things. And so the budget is 12,000 something. And it can't go over that amount.
2,100.
No. Where is it?
The budget for
Oh.
1920 was 2,100 or 12,100.
Right, and it can't go over that amount. They can't charge us more than that. But it's usually less than that amount. But
So for this year, they're not going to charge us anymore because you have 7410 and we've been charged 7409, which 7410. So there's not going to be any more charge this year.
that's right.
Okay. And so then for next year, you put 11,000. Should that be 12,000? If that's the maximum?
Well, this year she's only budgeted for 11,000 also. She decreased it from last year's budget to this year's budget.
Right, but she was.
I think that was when we, when COVID hit and we changed everything.
The reason I'm asking for next year is because if you say the maximum they can charge is 12, then we should have 12 in for next year.
Right. Yeah, we should have 12 in for next year.
Okay. And I realize that it may not be that much, but.
Right. It's always the hope that it'll be less. This cooperative is talking about getting Washoe and Clark to join, and then everything would go down in price for us.
Okay.
But that remains to be seen. Well, actually,
I love Libby, the ebooks. I've been reading a lot that way. Copy machine, $586 so far this year. You've got 1410. Do you think that once you open up, you're going to be using that much?
Let's see, the copy machine. They charge us a set amount every year, every month, and then if we. And that covers a certain number of copies. And then if we go over that,
there's a usage fee.
Yeah. It's $117.21. And I put in $40 for extra prints. So it would be $14.50. Right.
Yeah, that's what she did.
Okay.
There's a ruler there.
Oh, so there's
Appreciate that.
4 months left.
4 months left in this year.
Usually, well, in the past, around tax season, it's shot way up because everybody was coming in to photocopy their tax forms. That so many people have gone online. Nobody's doing the paper copies much anymore. So, we don't have that big, surge in the number of copies. But currently we are, photocopying for people. They just, bring it to us and we take care of it for them.
You increased computer line expense. So what's computer line expense? Is that not your internet? Is it your expenses for computers?
The computer line actually is, that's the DSL.
Okay. So you're going to need 1842. Excuse me, for this year.
That's what I figured.
Okay.
We pay NNIS annually, so that's one chunk of money, and that comes early in the fiscal year, and then we pay AT&T monthly, and so that's.
Are we going to have those payments when we go to the broadband? Oh, just okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't have a clue how that all works. Looks good to me.
Anybody else?
No, do we have we don't do their gift fund or?
Yeah,
do we do?
it is 63, tab 63.
There's not very much money in the gift fund.
But I do have a question on that because you're not budgeting to spend anything. I think we should put something in there.
Okay.
If you don't spend it, you don't spend it. If something comes up and you do spend it, and you don't have it in the budget, then it's a fine.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't bring my whole thing. In the past, we've done like $500 or something like that. Do you know what the balance is for that?
Yeah, right here. This is the beginning balance as of July 1st. This is what we're estimating it to be at the end of June to carry over, and then this would be the ending balance of June 2022.
Okay.
But I really suggest that you put some amount in your expense line so that if something comes up, at least we're covered.
Okay. So
doesn't mean you have to spend it.
So under miscellaneous services and supplies?
Yeah.
So what about putting like 2,000 or something in there?
Well, we only have.
You have three.
We can.
I'm just asking, you know,
the lowest you could go here would be, well, you could actually, you had no expenses last year, so this could go down to 0. You could spend 3,700 if you wanted. I'm not saying you have to, but that's what you could do. And again, it's just a matter of it being on paper, Kathy, so that we don't get in trouble with taxation if you have something come up and spends money out of there.
Okay. It seems like the last time we spent money out of there, we bought some shelving, a shelving unit, and we bought one, and the Friends of the Library bought one.
And see, this year's budget, there's $400, and we haven't spent it. But for next year,
okay.
I mean, you could put 2,000 in there, or 1,000, 1,500, whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Okay.
But all it is an authorization. So if the Friends of the Library said, well, we want to do this for you,
right?
And you could look at the budget and say, yeah, we could do that.
So how about 1,500
for next year?
For 2022.
Yes. Yeah.
And then did you want to put anything in there for this year? Because you budgeted 400. Are you gonna, this is between now and June 30th. And you can leave it at 0. It's
just thinking, I would really like to buy benches for outside the library. And they're on here for next year.
And under the library, $2,500, $1,200 each.
And
so you could do that, some of it you could do a bench out of Friends of the Library, this gift fund, and then you could put a little plaque on it donated by Friends of the Library. I mean, that's up to you. I'm just putting it out there.
Friends of the Library have their own account. This is the library.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, library gift fund. It is different, sorry.
Yeah. So is that all right, Reen, to add this year?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do like $1,500 this year.
Oh, you can't do that much because you don't have that in your budget.
You're only budgeted for 400.
You're only budgeted for 400. If you look right here, this is what your budget.
Okay, so we can't increase the budget for this year.
No.
Okay, it'll have to be next year then. So we'll do 1,500 for next year.
Yeah.
And you want to put 400 for this year just in case?
Yes.
So that's going to reduce this total by $1,900.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay,
Yeah.
no more questions or anything?
No, you did a good job. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Since we have a couple minutes, if we want to go back, we could go over the indigent budgets.
Over which one?
The indigent budgets, multicolored tab 3, 4, and 8. We'll do 3 first. And again, these are property tax revenues, which we don't have the 2022 projections yet from the state. So I just duplicated this current year's amounts.
So the money that we received back from the state, did it go under medical indigent number 2? I'm already flipped.
Yes.
So,
Because I'm seeing 59,000, so
Yeah.
under refunds. Okay, good.
Actually, I need to increase that a little bit because my projection was. Or there must have been something else that came in.
Now we are going to get some for the upcoming year, 21-22, but we don't know the exact amount.
Yeah.
Well, you can always just put it in later, right? I mean,
We
when you
won't
get
know
it.
until this time next year.
Yeah.
When we get it in.
I'm gonna go connect my computer for that meeting.
So how do we balance these funds for deficit spending from the general fund?
We try not to have it. Which one is it?
Well, the general indigent. Revenue is. How is this distributed? The funds from this account.
well, general indigent is what we use for the people that come in that need rental assistance or food vouchers. And it's also offset by our United Way grant.
Right.
Medical indigent, and both of the medical indigent ones are mostly money that we send to the state. And then
Their monthly bill.
the inmates, if they have medical appointments or if we have someone that we need to send to the clinic, then those come out of 4 too. But most of 4 and 8 go to the state.
Workstation. This is the password they said. I just once you get to the screen, you just log in.
The deficit, we have a healthy ending fund balance, but the deficit is just because our budget amount is more than the revenue.
Okay.
It's not that we're overspending those accounts.
Okay.
Says my username and password is in. Isn't it archived?
Like that contract that we approved the amendment to yesterday under prices. That's the 300% match. You get it though every month from the state. That one is for
It's morning.
like people that are on care. So the state is providing the services, but those are those unfunded mandates we're paying for.
So then
For the
this
state.
one,
So that's yours actually.
How come they closed 8 years ago? I don't even know.
Did you like my
Wow,
response?
one of those.
just says it's.
And we never.
My
made
response to your
that
VDR
rule.
request?
So sometimes at the end of the year.
It's
They
just
reimburse
like,
3.
Huh?
Well, if we've exceeded 8, then we'll charge 5 hours
This is
to pay those 300% matches. We have
switch between multiple lines.
It's gonna be significant.
This one I think.
But then you can't.
This
Yeah.
Right.
And the bills are very hard to understand. So they'll send us
Yeah.
like every
Just-
month's bill is
Just
like
this
5
one
or 6.
alone,
Yeah, just like.
with the early
Can't
warning
figure-
system and changing the
Figure
qualifications
out what
and all
It
that
may,
stuff.
it may work.
That at minimum is $50,000.
Going forward again.
So far.
Really could be charged for anything and everything. And
Sure.
Mhm.
wow.
So
I have a few.
you'll have to click and trust that you click.
It's like I thought that the school
Can I
district,
get the Wi-Fi password?
the funding for the school district was interesting. This is
Yeah.
this is worse.
Yeah.
This one?
The three all the different funds. The 11 judicial.
And that's because we administer the whole district.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no,
We're
that's
like,
not.
when we were in 6 judicial.
Well, I could put it wrong.
And that was with just Jolene, right? The 6 judicial.
Well, that's all we had here. Yeah. But there was 2 judges and then Jolie was
sir.
here, and Judge Montero.
I don't think you need anything too intermittent because I'm also.
But it was
No, I'm just gonna get my Excel.
But now
file.
it's all, the 3 counties are.
Negative, Ghost Rider. I don't have enough time for that.
Yeah, yeah, it was only
No, because, I
Jolene
mean,
back
Judge
then.
Montero had a big staff, but it wasn't like.
It wasn't here.
It wasn't even, no.
Yeah, because,
I still can't figure out how Jolie had it.
and then had time to read a book.
And she wasn't really a computer person.
No, she did everything by hand.
Yeah.
You could go in there and do first time and she was reading the book. So I don't know how she got it all done, but she did it.
You know, like yesterday.
How about if we're in recess for a moment?
I will tell you that this one is way in the negative. I've used all the sheriff's figures. The only thing that I did manipulate is anything to do with grants. If we received revenue, I made sure that expenses, or if the expenses were higher than the revenue, then I've change that so that it's a balance of 0. But all the other figures in this budget are strictly the sheriff's request.
So where are we over so much in the budget?
Well, we're not, because the budget's not been set, so my proposal is apparently over what, and this happens every year. I come in here and I'm told that I'm over budget already, when the budget hasn't even been set. So the majority of my additional expenditures are going to come into the extra training and the extra staff. And if anybody's paying attention to the legislature, I'm vastly concerned about what's going to happen. This BDR, just one alone, is in excess of $50,000. That's not included in my proposal. So.
And that BDR is what?
This BDR is 23-217. It's talking about having an early warning system for peace officers, changing the minimum standards for peace officers, and a few other things, collection of data, those kind of things. So, and the majority of that $50,000 is strictly going to be just programming that we're going to have to purchase or comply with to track the data that the state wants.
And that's not the only one.
No, that's not, yeah, this is just one of,
Yeah.
At least 5 of them.
mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. So I am concerned right now that my proposal that I proposed to this board is very insufficient for what may come out of this legislature, because they want to take effect in January.
So one comment I might make and add to this is I did a quick back of the envelope figuring. I don't know, Jerry, where you came up with your salary and benefits projections for this current year, but I came up with about $347,000 less than you.
Does that include the additional staffing?
Well, they're not.
My number includes the additional.
Not for this current year.
Oh, not for this current year.
I'm talking about just this current year. I took 18.5 payrolls, divided into the year-to-date totals, multiplied it back out times 12 months. Mm-hmm. And I come up with the current year projections in salaries and wages to be different than you and less than you by about $347,000.
That I'll be able to save. Mm-hmm. That would be awesome.
So I don't know what formula you used to come up with your projections, but mine came in a lot less.
What I used to do my projections was I was just going to try and hold the line because we have, just take the last Monday and Tuesday, for example, I had 5 deputies on for one incident for 28 hours, I believe. So the savings for that is going to be the fact that we had not had anybody hired for some of that portion of time. So, but now we have those people hired and we're doing training. So that's additional hours. So my projection was just to hold the line, not to come in under budget. That's how I. Because
I'm kind of figuring that patrol's going to go over. Dispatch looks right like even, and jail should be under quite a bit.
And if that happens, that'd be great. But I can't anticipate that with the amount of training we have to do. Yeah. I have one in the academy right now. He'll get out at the end of, I believe it's end of May, beginning of June. And then he'll be on FTO. So then we'll be paying one shift, but it'll be 2 people on that shift for the training. So.
And I know I roughly tried to explain yesterday, Sheila, so that you kind of understand that the PILT money is transferred to the general fund, and then the general fund transfers to law enforcement. Because years ago, law enforcement was in the general fund. But the auditor's suggestion, and this is before my time, from what I understand, for trackability reasons, they suggested that law enforcement create a new fund.
But it's technically still funded by the general fund.
Yeah.
So pretty much all of his budget comes out of the general fund, one way or another.
Yes. Pretty much, yeah.
So if you look at my proposal, I don't know, did you get the whole spreadsheet? Okay. So on mine, I have a separate column that I have an increase. So in patrol itself, the overage that I have budgeted for my proposal is $279,017.76. But that is for a detective, a patrolman, and a records person.
For next year, you're talking about.
Yes, for my proposal, yes.
Well, and see, the salary sheets that Chris did, because she just finished them, she's coming up with 1,610,000. You're only coming up with 1,526,000. So there's quite a difference from, and she added those additional deputy, investigator, and record keeper.
And I don't have that, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's in the.
Okay,
in
well,
the,
okay. Until today, I didn't have that, so I don't know
yeah.
what her numbers are. I can go to, let's see. So I think that's going to come into right off the bat, she estimated my salary to be $1,000 more than what I estimated it to be. So that's going to change the end number. Her number for the undersheriff is quite a bit bigger, $3,000 difference.
And that's probably because of the split, or he goes on a July 1st anniversary.
Right, and but I have his ending salary for total pay for the year to be higher than hers. So without going through this and seeing. And so my numbers are going to be different because Chris has some formula that I've never been able to understand with all the overtime and this and that. And I go through and for each deputy, I average out what their overtime has been for the prior 3 years. And that's what I put into my numbers. Because I for the life of me, I can't figure out how she comes up with the overtime pay and the shift and those kind of things. The shift differential is easy, but her overtime calculations, to me, in my mind, it helps me make sense of it when I find out how much the actual deputy works and average it out. And I don't propose those numbers because I just don't see, especially at our current rate, there's no way overtime is going to go down.
And really what you guys need to decide is because is whether or not you give him more officers, because the rest of his budget is built on having more of those officers.
Some of those components are.
Yes. It's like his vehicle expense and his uniform expense all is dependent on how many officers he has. So really you have to make the salary employee decision. You can't just go line from line without making that decision.
Right. If there are very many things that are tied to how many staff members I have.
Yeah, there are.
And I can tell you that we will not be able to keep up with the NRS for the amount of public records requests we're having unless I get an additional admin staff member.
Yeah.
We just can't keep up with it.
So what do you do if you, I mean,
Well, right now, the undersheriff and I are doing half of those public records, at least half of them. We're doing all the body cam footage for the district attorney's office or any other attorney's office that needs them. Because years ago, when the body cam program came into effect, my proposal was we would get the body cameras, and that would include a position to manage that system. And right now, myself and the undersheriff are the ones that are managing that system.
yeah,
And so it's taken us away from our administrative duties, because our front admin staff doesn't have the time to do them all with all the other paperwork and stuff they're required to do.
And you have a timeline that you have to have them done by,
Yes,
and you can request an extension, but I
Right.
mean, you still have to do them, so.
yeah.
Record requests are getting terrible for all
Oh,
offices.
yeah.
I know the reporters have several VDRs out there about confidential records on peace officers, teachers now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's unreal.
And of course, all of these BDRs so far that I've read are all unfunded, so,
Of course.
and that's normal for them.
yeah.
So basically, you want to add an additional deputy, an investigator, and a record keeper?
Yes. And the reason for the detective investigator is we can no longer rely on NDI for their assistance. We called them in to do it.
Because they just can't come out here, or?
They can't come out here in their turnaround. I mean, they gave us a 7 to 10 page report. It took 8 months.
After 8 months.
And it was for an internal investigation. They were able to turn around our officer involved shooting in about the same amount of time, but that, I mean, that binder is huge comparatively. And so they're understaffed, they're overworked. We can't reasonably rely on them to come and do our
When do you
investigation.
have to call them in?
Anytime we have something that we just can't internally do. Most of the time we call them in for sexual assaults, especially if they involve juveniles. Homicides, we call them in for assistance if we need. Anytime there's an officer involved shooting, we call them in. If we have an internal affairs investigation that requires more than what we can handle, we'll call them in. So there's a whole host of reasons we would call them in, but they're just understaffed. I mean, the state has cut their funding so significantly, they're just horribly understaffed.
And
So we can't rely on them.
a lot of them are leaving too. I know one that's actually looking at going to mining right now.
Yeah, and then when you add on top of it all the new requirements that are coming on peace officers, I see a big, there's gonna be a big change, big turnover. This one alone will kill the rules just because the requirement for the associate's degree. And there's no grandfathering in. What's that?
To be a law enforcement officer?
Minimum requirement to even go to post,
Wow.
To go to post
to go
even?
to post.
You have
In
to
that
have an
bill.
associate's degree
This
now?
is what they're proposing, yes.
Oh, geez.
So when there's no grandfathering in, so right now I don't have an associate's. So does that mean I'm gonna lose my certification?
So everyone that's already a peace officer would have to get that associate's degree.
That's according to my reading of it,
Holy.
because there's no grandfathering in. So I'm extremely worried about what's coming. I understand that my budget always comes in high. It's not near as high as what I proposed last year, though. It's like $1 million and $1.2 million less than what I proposed last year.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean a whole lot, but the fact of the matter is, with these other BDRs, and as Karen said, with all these unfunded mandates that are coming in, we're gonna get hit hard in law enforcement. And I've told this board before, if we have to carry any more gear on our hips, we're gonna have to go back to medieval times. And I'm gonna have to hire everybody a squire just to carry their equipment.
Yeah. I've looked at your new desk, and I mean, you got a lot of stuff on it.
And obviously I have more real estate than most, so I can pack more on mine, but I do understand that, but So, but Lacey's right. I mean, the first thing has to come down to personnel. If we're not gonna get personnel, then equipment's gonna go down, uniforms are gonna go down.
All of it
vehicles-
goes accordingly.
May go down.
I don't know how you do it.
Day by day.
Well, not
Just
only
went
that, but
physical this morning,
yeah, what's that?
just did part one of our physical this morning,
Oh,
so.
I was wondering what you had on. Thought maybe it was a fashion statement.
Yeah, right. That was the thin blue line. No, we're due for our yearly physicals.
yeah, and everybody gets those.
So yeah, all law enforcement is required. Every year we have to do it. Every 2 years firefighters have to do it.
For me, I would like to be able to see that we meet everything that you need. However, on the budget side, how do you do that?
We just don't have the money.
Right.
Yeah, so how do you do it?
I don't know. I've transferred, again, I've transferred and left minimum in PILT, minimum in general fund, and it's not enough money for law
Yeah.
enforcement. We need more revenues. Our revenues are like this,
I
but
know.
how are we gonna get more revenues? We're at the tax cap. We can't raise property taxes.
No, you can't do that. So we have to have more business tax, so
And some of these.
net proceeds. Yeah.
Right, and some of these increases are due to the fact that we're running at bare minimum equipment. You know, over the years, we've tried to stockpile some things, obviously some things expire, but I mean, we ordered ammo 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Yeah, and
And you still haven't got it?
we're still waiting on it. And we still have to do at least one more we have to do 3 qualifications this year. Every deputy, we have to do 2-day shoots and a night shoot, and it's a requirement or you lose your certificate. You know, with the price of ammo, what it is now, and being able to find it.
Yeah.
Lacey and I've also looked at how the tax rate is distributed, you know, amongst the indigent, the library, ag extension, all of those.
We
And
still bleeding?
No,
we're at statute on all of us, so we can't even really manipulate and move more tax to the general fund.
So I mean, I guess what you're saying is to get it where it somewhat needs to be, we have to take it out of proposed new personnel.
why?
That's where you have to cut it.
And for sheriff, I proposed the deputy, the investigator, and the records keeper, and then in the jail, I proposed 2 deputies in there as well.
Yeah, I know.
Because I just had 3 patrolmen in the jail helping the jail staff do 2 bookings. And that's commonplace. I mean, daily, myself and the under sheriff.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do when I'm able to do my own job. 'Cause everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, how do I do my job? Suggestions, Rain?
I don't have any. I mean, I tried to pull as much as I could. And I'm gonna be truthful with you. I think I've mentioned this several times. All of our funds or any fund balances are going down. Building fund, you were there.
Mhm.
That has gone from $2 million down to 400,000.
Yeah.
If so projects are gonna have to be told no. The money's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And that fund does not take in it. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't know how we're gonna afford a new law enforcement center. I honestly.
No, I agree.
agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know how we make that leap.
I don't either. So Jerry, which of these would be most beneficial?
At this point, records clerk and a detective.
Can you just do with a records clerk and wait for the detective?
I would rather go with the detective and do without the records clerk. And just continue to do the records myself.
Is your detective the deputy line item? The investigator. So
It's
this is a dumb question on my part. Why is the investigator got to be at a sergeant rate?
Because they are, because under the NRS, the requirements to become a detective, you have to go to minimum amounts of training, which are include, it's almost 6 months of training.
Oh, I was just gonna ask that same exact question. Why does it have to be a sergeant?
Yeah, it's a higher level of certification.
So that would be your must-have. You
That would
can-
be, if we can only have one, my preference would be to have detective, yes.
The detective.
So shall we proceed off that one position
See where it gets you.
and see where it gets us?
Yeah.
I believe we're probably gonna have to meet with the sheriff again once he reduces those two.
Accordingly.
positions. And then you have to decide on the jail side, you know, for those extra 2 positions or not. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
2 positions.
There
So
should be
there's
two
2
there, yeah.
positions in the jail. Can you carry on until we actually start getting some revenue without those 2 deputies for the jail?
I'd like to say yes. The issue is becoming, we're gonna start conflicting with the county's code, which I have been in discussion with the district attorney about. That county code needs to change.
Is that the 24-hour coverage, Jerry?
Yeah. That includes that part of it, but there is language in there that says that it has to be manned. So when I have a deputy out to the hospital or I have a deputy at court, once again, myself and the undersheriff is going in there, not filling in jail. We have a combative mental health patient in there right now that takes more than one person to deal with.
Really?
Yeah, and this is another burden that is being placed. Mental health is another burden that's being placed on the law enforcement continually. We're not qualified, we're not certified to handle mental health patients. But we're still having to deal with them more than
Not have a mental health person in town anymore?
we do, but it's by appointment only. We have a telemed that we can do as well. But even to get to telemed, I still have to have those 2 deputies there in case that person gets out of hand, starts throwing equipment around or hurting themselves.
Yeah.
If you've read the jail audit, you can see that we're out of compliance with some things.
We are.
And that includes the level of staff.
How do you fix
So,
that? You build a jail you can afford.
And I can throw this out for the board because it's public information. So there's a county within the state of Nevada that services 800 permanent residents, and they have 12 deputies, including their sheriff. Here we have roughly 6,000 minus the prison.
Yeah.
And we have 15. There's another county that geographically is about the same landmass as us, about the same separation between their population centers, and they have 33.
So they must have different sources of income.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they must
They
have.
have way more net
I-
proceeds, yeah.
And while I understand that,
They
I'm
have a
held
better
I'm
tax
held to
revenue.
the same standard as they are.
Yes, I agree. You're held to those
Exactly the
standards
same standard.
and the unfunded mandated standards.
Mhm.
The problem is when the state handle the mandates, they don't fund them.
Oh, absolutely.
No, they don't.
People like Pershing County, counties like Pershing County that don't have the tax revenue,
Mhm. That's why I
that's
said
where we're
this,
at.
yeah, that's why I said this one alone will devastate the rules, because
Yeah.
we already don't get the cream of the crop anyways when we get applicants. And if you add those other conditions on there as a minimum term of employment.
Well, and then if the rest of you have to take that,
Right.
those classes, like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm halfway there. I could finish it in a year probably, but I can't say that about all my staff and then which ones will want to.
Well, and then you have to do it on top of doing your job.
Mhm.
Could you do one extra deputy in the jail?
We could get by better with that, because then I could put that person on day shift. We could cover those additional duties in the jail for court coverage, medical coverage, and those kind of things.
So one jail deputy and one investigator, and hope that our revenues start going up?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Well, we have some good potential projects coming in, but it's gonna be
Right.
a
Well,
few years
we'll
before we see
help, yeah.
revenue from them.
That we can get sales tax and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
You know, if we had one of our solar farms that we've already approved coming in, at least then you can count on some more revenue.
There'd be additional property tax revenue, but that's not
Yeah.
gonna be a lot.
No.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is when we've discussed this in previous meetings about, you know, these camps coming in for the mines and this and that. And there was statements made that we won't have to deal with them because those people are gonna be within the city. Well, we've already had 3 of those mine employees in the jail because of different activities. So we are dealing with them. And there's 10 to a dozen new houses up in Grass Valley. There's a couple going in, you know, in the valleys here.
There
And
are.
you have all the contractors in the hotels and at the RV parks.
And with the city going defunct, we're still handling 2.5 days a week for them. The men and women in my office are, they're exhausted
Yeah.
from covering all that. And, you know, when you look at the disparity I gave you over the counties, yes, there is one county that makes far more money. However, I think we've done a very good job with the limited staffing that we do have. We're not perfect by any means.
No.
I will never say that.
But we
We've
get,
been able to
but
hold-
you get,
hold the
you
line.
get it
your
done.
job done.
yeah, you get it done.
You do it well with what you have.
And I can tell you based on this, I can't cover the vacation that people have stacked up. I'm constantly sending Chris letters, hold their vacation for another 6 months,
Yeah.
because can't use it.
Well, have we had, well, I thought Burning Man was going to continue this year at on a smaller scale. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
They don't know themselves.
But there's also the other thing that applied for the same.
Mhm.
What was that?
Is what?
The
What was
other
that group? The everyone camp everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how many is that expected to be?
I believe they were saying 15 to 20,000.
Whoa.
But they would have to pay
A festival fee, right?
festival.
They fall under our
Yes.
festival ordinance.
Yes, they don't fall under Burning Man agreement. So now, isn't that the one that filed for the same time frame with the
Yes.
It's the
BLM?
same time frame, same area, same
Yeah.
general area. So I don't know that BLM will give a permit to two permits for the same area at the same time.
Well, hopefully
I just
not.
don't see that happening.
Yeah,
But the problem with that is if they don't get the permit there, then they'll just move further up the desert. And it's quite a ways north till you get to Humboldt County.
well, I-
Or maybe
And you
just
may
move
know
to Washington
better-
County?
No, because there's
No?
too many requirements for Washington. That's why
Really?
they moved to Pershing.
yeah, yeah. You know, you may know more about Fly Ranch. I would
Mhm.
think maybe they could move it to their own property,
They
which
tried
is
that.
Washoe
They
County.
tried that in 94.
And
Found
it
out
didn't
was too
work.
small.
Hmm.
That was the year after it was partially held in Pershing and partially held in Washoe, and Washoe's sheriff sent his deputies to the gate and started picking their funding right off the till. Just basically did a tilt tap,
Yeah,
because of course they were not getting reimbursed at the correct amount. So
Hmm.
we proposed a toll booth at County Road 34.
yeah.
It's a county road, right?
Yep, and there's 6 mile stretch of it that's in Pershing County.
So where are we at? What can we do? What do we need to, I know what we need to do, but I don't know how you do it.
So base the budget on an investigator and one more jailer, deputy. And go from there. And hope our revenue comes in
Yeah.
the 22-23 year.
And uniform allowance will be based on personnel. Physical will be based on personnel, drug testing will be based on personnel, training
It
will be
always-
based on personnel.
Yeah.
That's one
Um,
question Karen and I had for
ammo.
you on your uniform allowance. Did you
Mhm.
put extra in there for the
Yes.
post stuff?
For post stuff, yes, and then also we need to order new badges because we're out of badges, so I put some extra money in there.
So uniform allowance,
Uniform allowance will change.
drug testing,
Yeah,
physicals,
Yep, all of that will
Training.
change. Capital outlay or equipment may change a little bit.
You have some vehicles in here now too that
Mhm.
should probably not be here, but should go into option tax. Because don't we have that every year, we look at one vehicle?
Well, we do, and that was my concern 3 years ago when we changed it to the option tax. I figured we'd probably get, a couple of years where we buy one out of the option tax, one out of the general budget. And then, boy, the next year, no, you can only have this in the option tax, so. Our vehicles right now. I do believe I have
I think I put that in copies.
a mileage chart that I submitted.
Let's do that. This here.
Yep. I'll put that with that.
What were you looking at?
The vehicle mileage chart.
It should be right after the salary sheets.
Yeah, so we still haven't purchased the jail vehicle, which would potentially replace unit 2, but as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's actually 11 vehicles, but only 10 that we use on patrol. EM1 is the emergency management vehicle, but all of those vehicles are in excess of 100,000 miles. Which for an emergency vehicle, is-
Didn't you have money in the budget for the jail vehicle?
it's in the option tax, yes. We just
Oh, in
haven't,
the option tax
yeah,
side.
we haven't ordered it yet because we were thinking there might be other things coming through that we might have to pay for or
Isn't that
something,
kind
so.
of finalized stuff?
I would imagine it is, but,
I know that we just processed a litigation invoice,
okay,
so
So, yeah,
I'm
I just-
assuming.
yeah, and I just found that out this past week, so. I'm gonna order that, and hopefully, this late in the year, it'll be able to come in before the budget year.
Yeah, maybe.
But so, yeah, you're right that there has been vehicles moved over to the options tax, but the 1 a year is not going to make a dent in all of our vehicles aging out. And if we have another vehicle involved in a crash or something such as mine.
Oh,
was,
geez.
and we have
Yes.
to wait 6 months for
We don't need
a
that.
new one. No, we don't need it, but that's just the reality.
I still have concerns that even revisiting and taking those extra people out, I still think we're gonna have a shortfall.
Oh, I would imagine.
And
so.
that's my concern, because I don't know how we're gonna cover that shortfall. The only way we could do it would be to see the legality of moving some of those tax amounts to different funds. Putting more in the general.
And that would, I mean, at the state
approval.
That's something Bryce would have to help us with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it probably has to be okayed by the Department of Taxation, right?
I don't think so, as long as we're not changing the overall amount, we're just reallocating.
Moving it around.
But I don't know what the statute requirements are. I know indigent for sure, where we're supposed to be per statute, so we can't move any of those.
It would be like library, recreation, those inter-county tax rates that we could maybe adjust. Recreation, we can't because that's in our city county.
Mhm.
And recreation has got the huge
Cool.
pool repair that
Yeah.
we don't need to mess with their tax rate at all. We got to leave it where it's at. The library is a questionable thing. I mean, are we in here? I'm just shooting off things because I'm not the legal expert on any of this. I don't think we're bound to have to have a library, are we?
I don't think so either.
There was discussion before about closing the library, but
Well,
And I don't mean that
No.
in any way. I'm just saying,
I don't want to see that happen.
and I can say
Yeah.
this on record, they're refusing to open, and so maybe if they don't want to open, maybe we shouldn't have a library.
they do have a healthy fund balance, so I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
do.
that if it's not required, they need to get the whole allotment that they're getting.
and then you have ag extension, and that's already a resolution for that tax rate, so we can't really mess with that one either.
That has figures in the NRS, but it's set by the commission.
That is set by the commission.
The commissioners have to adopt a resolution every year setting that tax rate. But I think there's a minimum in statute that it has to be.
Because it's an agreement with UNR, correct?
Well, but it's not just UNR, that's just who they work.
Yeah.
It's just very frustrating because
Yeah, it is.
there is no extra money laying anywhere, and we can't count on net proceeds. And
No.
I think it's going to be even less now with everybody having expansions. They're not going to be paying any of it.
And honestly, Pilt is always scary too. 'Cause that's the last thing they approve every time.
Yeah.
And we budget 1 million because one year we'll get 1,100,000. The
Yeah.
next year we'll get 99.
You don't know until the check gets here.
And it never gets here till the last week of June. So our budgets are already sent in by then.
Yeah. And you don't think net proceeds are gonna change much with like Coors expansion?
Because they're not gonna have net revenue because they're spending it all on their
Spending it all on
expansion.
expansion. The only thing we'll get is sales taxes. If it's delivered in the county, correct?
If they buy equipment or whatever.
So that would be in our CTX revenue that we get.
Right. Which is estimated by the state. That's one of their final revenue numbers and that did come in just a hair higher, like 80,000 from the preliminary ones. But then every month I keep getting these emails, be conservative. This is our estimate. Don't count on more money.
Yeah.
NACO has sent out several emails to comptrollers, auditors. They don't want us to even
Budget.
estimate our property taxes at 100% because they don't think they're going to get paid at 100%. And ours don't get paid at 100%.
Because of delinquency?
Because COVID,
Or-
people haven't had their own personal revenue to pay their taxes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, delinquency, yeah. I mean, some of it's
But that's
to,
every year. I mean, we haven't had
yeah,
an increase in people not paying since COVID.
Usually I estimate 92%. That's what Darlene Morris suggested when she left and I went in. So we estimate that we get 92% in. Right now, through the last tax payment, which was made March 7th, we're at about 86%,
even less.
even less. There'll be a few
But we
more.
send out notices now, and so more people on the 1 year list will pay. It's
Right.
we're never at 90% in March. We
Yeah.
still have through June to collect
So we hope to
10
get
more
up to that
percent.
92%.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of my budget is contingent on services from other entities such as forensic services. When you look back through 2020, it was only 26,500. Last year we had to increase it to 40,000 because Washington County Sheriff's Office increased their budget that much to provide, yeah. So, and they're going through the same process we are right now, so they haven't even set the price of what their new contract's gonna be, so I added an additional $5,000 in there. They may hold the line and keep it in there, but I have to estimate something until I can get a hard line on it. Fuel, I went up because the price of fuel is going up. And we do consume a lot of fuel. I mean, there are some things I may be able to wiggle around it and reduce some, but I don't think I'll be able to come into the 1.5 million under.
Yeah.
There's just no way for my agency, my office, to do the 2% wage increases and hold the line. There's no possibility of that happening year to year. Because we have so many, and I know everybody has their mandates through NRS and that kind of stuff, but so if we want, if it's the board's pleasure right now, what I can do is I can go home or go to the office, try to rework some of these numbers
and see where you can come up to or down to.
Did you have room on the schedule Monday afternoon? I can't remember if there was. I think I was to come back and
We could, yeah, Monday afternoon.
2:30.
okay. Well, and I don't know if the board made plans after that or if you guys wanted to see if I can do some rearranging and let me make sure I don't have anything on the schedule on Monday.
Yeah.
No, other than lines and lunch. So if it's the board's pleasure at this time, I can take that back and kind of tighten up some of the funds we have, see if I can get Washington County to give me some kind of estimate on their forensics that may be able to come down a few thousand, maybe tighten up a few. Obviously, there's going to be training, uniforms, those kind of things that'll come down to the personnel. So we can adjust some of those numbers accordingly. As a thought, I don't know if you want to go through the rest of it, we can go through the rest of it and then.
Well, let's rework it and come back Monday and see.
Okay.
Please.
So if you can't get it all done, I'll probably be in and out over the weekend. So if you can just send me an email and let me know. I have several others I'll be working on.
Right. Okay.
So I put you down for 2:30.
Okay. Yeah.
So in the other ones, reading the dispatch, jail, are we not as upside down?
Well, this is a tally sheet for all three areas.
For all three.
You guys could look at dispatch since you didn't add employees there.
See, and maintenance alone in dispatch, you estimated 9,000, but we're at almost 9,400. So there must have been an invoice just recently paid or something.
Yeah, there must have been. I'll have to look at that and see.
So I know that one's gonna have to go up. Last year.
Last year we were at 81.47.
And you're gonna increase it to 20?
So the reason it's increased to 20 is because in the past couple of years, we've been taking out of our training budget for the jail and detention, or I mean, the jail and patrol to pay for our training programs that we have. So Police One, Lexapol, which is our policy and procedures, those kind of things we've been robbing from our training to do those. And right now maintenance pays for our REMS programming, which is our CAD programming, our jail programming, all that stuff. And so since they're all programs, what I did was conglomerate those all into that one account because there's no separate account within the jail or sheriff to do that. And so that's why that increase has gone up. And that is also to include the new NIBRS mandate.
New what?
So the federal government is converting from UCR, which used to be the uniform crime reporting, and they're going to NIBRS, which is a national incident-based reporting system. So there's some conversion fees for our programming to do that. That was $16,000 on its own. However, we were able to get all the counties that use Sunridge systems went into by Lander County, and we got $7,000 of that paid through that grant. We're trying to get more grant funding for that, but we have to wait on the state to see if that's going to come out. But the reason for the increase on that is to conglomerate all of those training programs into one account so that we're not constantly robbing from our training, because we're constantly turning away training so that we can pay for those programs that because the Police One helps us quite a bit on maintaining our certification. It is Nevada Post certified. Some of those classes are, so we can take some of those classes, the ones that you don't have to do hands on. We can do those through that, and Nevada Post will accept those as their training.
And then you also have $10,000 training.
So the $10,000 in training, because the state is suggesting, they're not mandating yet, but they are suggesting that all dispatchers go to an academy. There's no certification for it yet, so I'm just putting something on there in case they change it from a suggestion to a mandate. Unfortunately, my budget is based on a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do your dispatchers still have more training to do this year?
Oh yeah, I have one that's in training right now.
Small equipment and dispatch of 4,000, but we're at a negative 105.
How did that happen? We get a refund?
Must have been a refund.
Sweet. Let's go for more refunds. Let's go for some more refunds. I was wondering how that happened too. I just haven't had a chance to call you to find out how that became a negative.
Last year was at 4,000 and your next year's request to 10 for
small equipment. So
yeah.
far, I guess the whole thing didn't print out. So on the side of it, I have what it's for, and that is computers. So Justin and I have been talking, and most if not all of my computers are end of life. He's had to buy memory for 2 of my computers in the office just so that they will start in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they can run the program they're supposed to run. So most of our computers are what, vintage 2011, 2012?
Yeah, so, and this is actually a big drop from, aside from machines I bought last year, they're typically at least 7 years old. And really you should probably.
Well, I know we have some old ones in our office too that haven't been replaced.
Yep.
And just like with the sheriff stuff and the other department, write it to the ground so we have to, because there's this. Putting actually. I think the problem.
Well, and those are probably the newest, but I have a grant to get 3, possibly 4 of those, but they'll be attached to the vehicle, so they'll be able to stay in the field more and do their work there. But the hard desk mounted units are.
It must have been a refund check because it went through cashier.
I mean, my computer. Okay, my computer in my office, I'm working off the laptop that was purchased by the sheriff prior to me, because I didn't want to buy another desktop. I just used what we had to get us through. And you know, like I had said before, we try to stretch out our vehicles, our equipment, as long as we can. You know, our radars, we just found out last year when they certified them, that's the last year they'll be able to certify them, because they're into life. Our radios, you can't buy this radio anymore. It's discontinued.
Outdated.
You may be able to get parts for it, but when it goes out, it's going to be $4,600 for a new radio. I mean, and that's a piece of officer safety equipment that we have to have. I can't send my guys in the field without having communications. But it's surprising to know that this little paperweight is almost $5,000. I know you do. The electronic bill.
I think you got a deal on that.
Well, we get the state contract price, so so we do get a deal. But so yeah, the increase in small equipment is due to computer purchases and probably a printer. The training is potentially, if we have to do a dispatcher academy. The increase for the maintenance is. I think, yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with the maintenance for the generator. I was gonna say somewhere in here there's maintenance for the generator, but that's in the jail.
So you only have 3 dispatchers or 4?
We have 4 dispatchers and a supervisor.
And then on-call physicians.
Yeah.
And then what?
Well, it says your supervisor is a vacancy.
She will be retiring at the end of next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be Leslie.
And then do you have somebody moving up in that problem?
Most likely, yeah. We're trying to do some internal auditing to see how we can best utilize that position. It's a very demanding position, but there's some other things we may be able to tie into that and conglomerate some duties, but we just have to see how we can do that. We have 2 audits coming up. We have our civil audit that goes through dispatch, and then we also have our NCGIS criminal access audit coming up. So the undersheriff already got us successfully through our post audit, so we did very well with that. We were only missing, I believe, 2 documents that we were able to provide in short order. So.
let's look at the jail. I'm seeing a bunch of, I mean, more expenses than you had in the past. And I know there's got to be a good reason for it, but I just don't know what it is.
So the maintenance agreement took a large jump because we're gonna have to have Cashman come out and do the maintenance, the PM maintenance on it, and then they're gonna need to load bank it. Which takes, I believe, 8 hours to load bank it. And basically what that does is they put an artificial charge on it and rev it up. They basically bring the generator to its knees and test what its failure capacity is. And then if there's any issues or anything like that, they'll rectify those issues. But they also need to come and pull all the fluids, change all the fluids, check the electrical and all that stuff on there. So that's part of that big increase right there.
Prisoner meals, big difference.
Yeah, they're the state sent us a new contract and the price of their meals has gone up. It's nothing's going down.
No.
Custodial supplies, I doubled that because we've gone through our stash with the COVID and the mandated cleaning that we've had to do. We've gone through all of our extra supplies, and if something else like this hits us, we're gonna have to start stocking up on our cleaning supplies. So that could probably come down a little bit now that we have that machine to sanitize.
Yeah. Are those working okay?
They seem to be, yeah. Knock on wood, we haven't had an exposure yet. So anytime we do a release, we lock the facility down and we go and sanitize that cell and all the equipment in the cell, and everybody stays locked down for the half hour or whatever. And then once a week we go through the whole building as a whole and do it as well. So the small equipment tools, again, computers, monitors, and then extraction gear for the jail staff, and that was part of that was based on the jail audit. There are some of us that over the years have bought our own equipment. We have some of that equipment, but we don't have enough to outfit three or 4 or 5 people that would take to go in and do an extraction. The biggest increase is the nursing contract, and that nursing contract, the company came out, did an audit, and provided us with the cost of what it would be for them to provide us nursing staff on site for 2 to 3 days a week, plus on call. And that again was based off of our lack of ability to get medical from our local provider in-house, and trying to keep deputies in the facility as opposed to taking deputies out and then backfilling those positions. That one I expect will not be approved because it's in excess of I believe it's $86,000 just for that contract alone. Was it 85? Okay. So I would expect that probably wouldn't go through. I mean, for 85,000, I can hire another deputy.
Yeah.
So we have, Jerry, on the thing, we have 93.5, but on your sheet, it's only 85.
Right. On my notes, I put the nursing contract in a gun safe, and
so how much do you have for the gun safe? That's what I'm missing here.
Gun safe probably going to run us about $3,000.
Under capital outlay, or
that's what I have under.
Yeah, if you look at 93.5 under capital outlay in here, his breakdown sheet only tallies up to 88.5.
Apparently, I didn't only.
So that would make, well, that's still must have some.
Yes, I think I doubled up numbers on there from the one above, because the one above, which would be small equipment and tools, I have in here computers, monitors, and extraction gear. And on my notes for extraction gear I have the Nova Shield, a remote electronic belt, and and an ice machine for the jail.
Small equipment, and there's 12 on that sheet, and there's only 10 on the other side.
And I think I may have transposed or put some numbers in the capital outlay that I meant to put in small equipment or vice versa.
Because you have an ice machine and capital outlay, but no gun safe.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I must have, yeah, I must have.
And then the small equipment on the sheet says 12, and on the budget sheet it only says 10.
This is 12, but over here this is 10.
See, and that's supposed to import it, so that's.
Don't you love it when those farmers?
Yeah. What threw me an error yesterday said they couldn't update it do the links, so I wonder if it broke part of the link. So, but again, I mean, I'll have to go in there, recalculate some of those things. But I would suspect at this point that 85,000 for the nursing contract would have to come out.
Yeah. I think,
So
didn't I?
revisiting of all this, you're gonna fix that.
Yeah.
And for vehicles, you have 41 grand, but you don't have anything in the capital outlay sheet.
No, did I not put it in the?
Huh?
Did I not put it in the capital outlay sheet?
No.
And what's that vehicle in jail for? I mean, because you're gonna get one this year.
Right, yeah. I think, if memory serves, I put it in there in anticipation of not being able to use the other fund. So, yeah, so if we can use that other fund, then I'll take this one out.
You might check with the VA, but
Yeah,
like I
I
said,
already
I
thought.
already requested spending with those.
Yeah, I talked to him like it was either Monday or it was Friday, last week, I can't remember. There's $125,000 right there.
Yeah.
My concern with not having the nursing contract is just the liability. I mean,
Yeah.
We've already been sued a couple of times for medical issues in the jail. Luckily, our staff has kept good documentation of the services they can and do provide. And that's probably the only thing that's really saved us. The more and more we get into a more litigious society and those kind of things.
Is that something we can talk to the hospital about?
Todd.
I would. It's 2 days a week.
Well, they wouldn't
2
have
to
like
3 days
sit
a week.
there, right?
I don't think so.
What's that?
Is that something we could approach the hospital about?
We have, they
And
refuse.
Well, maybe if the commission did though.
No.
I mean, I'm not
they
saying.
refuse,
but
they
like-
refuse to work with you or?
Under the prior CEO and the, well, I don't know, 3 or 4 directors of nursing ago, they were willing to do a program and they were gonna come over and charge the inmates $35 a visit. And they would come over and provide on-call medical call. And so we had that, and then obviously the director of nursing left, and we've got a new CEO. Things have changed quite a bit. I've reapproached this, and they're not inclined to do that because of their staffing level. And as the undersheriff just reminded me, there's a statute in the NRS that does not exempt law enforcement from dispensing medications. We've been able to skirt around that because we have a detention facility, but it does not exempt us from it.
Yeah.
So if we misdispense or something like that, we will be liable for that. So, and I believe that was in the audit as well.
Yeah.
So some of the, I mean, that one would purely be to reduce the risk to the county. And maybe there's something PoolPack can do with that since they are our risk manager. But they're not really inclined to do personnel. So equipment, yes, personnel, not so much. So. So I can take this, I can rework the numbers. I can email them to Reed. I'll spend the next, I'll be out of town tomorrow. In the evening, I'll be back. And so I'll work on it tomorrow as well. See if I can get this into her. I should be able to get it by Monday. And then we can revisit on Monday. That's the pleasure of the board. Is that going to save the Wi-Fi anything there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Not that I need it this weekend, but when I come back next week.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll have to fix some of my links that are apparently broken. So is that what the board wants to do?
Please.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, please.
And we're maybe able to get rid of that one too. I think PoolPack's going to pay for the sustain. They just sent us something that they wanted to do that. So.
Did you get another contact to your yes?
I'm working on it. Yeah, I am working on it. Because I'm also working on one for cameras for the facility. That's another 70,000-ish.
Doesn't the county have cameras available for your facility?
Not that I'm aware.
I thought John had extra cameras on hand.
Probably to replace any of the ones that he has. I don't think his cameras will meet the security requirements for the jail. Maybe the perimeter, yes, but not within the jail.
And he's,
They are right now, but we're trying to, yeah. Yeah, because our cameras were old when I started 20 years ago. It took me 2.5 weeks of solid just working on those just to get the ones working that we had.
You mentioned that the other day.
Yes. Yes, Chad Odegaard, when he put them up, they were brand new, but that was a couple of years before I started it. As Justin said, they don't last for, we make as much stuff live as long as we can. I mean, we really do. The whole county does. Because we have.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
just let me know what you want.
Okay. So if I find a large influx of $1.5 million, the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I could try. I don't know that I'll succeed, but I could try. Well, that would be a trade secret, sir, and you have to pay for that. So. I hope you want that, but that's the last number I worked up, but that's not, obviously not all of it. There's a potential extra 15,000.
Yeah.
Of income, not expense.
There's a plus.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Do you want to get a few more of these ones? Or?
Sure. We got 15 minutes more. We were gonna go.
So let's go to number 6, which is cemetery. Multicolors, number 6.
Is taking those positions out enough?
But we'll see what his other reduction are. So this cemetery receives money from PILT. It's been 10,000 over the past few years, but to cover the expenses that they anticipate for this year and next year, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more, like 25,000 each year. We haven't really seen too many of the memorial wall contribution revenues coming in anymore. That went over really well when it first started.
Yeah.
We're not seeing.
And cemetery fees is,
Cheryl did a really good job at collecting old fees that had never been paid.
oh,
Like she went back and found where plots had been reserved but never paid for. And
oh,
she,
really?
Yeah, there wasn't the most accurate record keeping years ago.
Oh, really?
So you mean,
Probably you just went in there and said, I'd like this plot, and she just wrote you down, didn't worry about collecting until you dug a hole in the ground.
Oh.
so they were reserved
Years
a ways
ago.
back,
Yeah,
and they never paid any
Oh.
money to reserve them?
yeah.
That
Mm.
kind of tells you that they're not reserved. Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. So this is
I've
just,
gone back for Cheryl and we've done several printouts in the old financial system of, you know, names and stuff, and a lot of them we couldn't find.
Are
So
they-
that's where she's. The revenues have increased there because they've had to actually, she would reserve the plot for you, but then not make you pay for it
yeah.
years ago.
Mhm. Well, did they end up in there eventually without being paid
Some
for?
yes, some no, I think.
Probably. Yeah.
I could see that happening very easily. They reserve it and then, and don't pay for it. And then when somebody passes away, then
They know
it's just not paid for.
Yeah.
Maybe a different family member took care of it on the other side, so they didn't know.
Yeah,
Or, you know, whatever.
yeah.
Mm.
And then if you look at the salaries and benefits, Cheryl's budgeted for 624 hours a year in cemetery. Obviously, this year she hasn't spent that amount of time in the cemetery because of the COVID. I think she spent
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Cheryl has 3 jobs, half one job.
She's the health nurse, admin, cemetery and safety. So it's paid out of 3 budgets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
safety comes out
Yeah.
of the general fund. And health nurse comes out of the general fund, and then cemeteries its own.
Its own fund.
So with all 3 of hers, how many hours does she total up?
Full-time.
Full time, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yep. She just has to divvy it up as she
Between all
goes.
3.
And the unfortunate side of all the COVID stuff is our safety stuff, because I think all of us
Yeah,
are pretty much
I don't remember when
expired
we
with
did.
our safety regulations.
Oh, wow.
Because we haven't done any, I haven't done any in a year and a half.
They're yearly, aren't they?
I remember that she said something about it was all going to be different there.
So it might be to just let them know.
I don't really see too much in this budget. It's
don't either.
really,
Yeah.
you know, the forestry crew expense that comes out, they come out to pull weeds and stuff like that.
I don't see a lot you can change.
I miss law enforcement.
They're coming
They're
back.
coming back.
Excuse me for interrupting, but this call, it's the task force for COVID. They had 45 minutes of public comment. People wanting water polo, basketball,
Oh,
et cetera,
yeah.
opened up. And I mean, it was fine. I mean, I didn't, but I only took maybe 10 minutes and they didn't have any questions. Sean was on and he just spoke for a minute. So, I mean, I was 10 minutes or 50, you know, but I was 45 minutes.
When she sends her emails out, you can just see, you know, comment. Huh?
Sorry.
Oh, for the COVID stuff.
Probably end your conversation.
The COVID task force, I was on that call. It started at 10. They had 50 minutes of public comment on opening up water polo and different sports. And then I was first, and then, you know, and it just took a little bit. Anyway.
So I'm working on a brief that's due tomorrow in a murder case, some habeas petition. And I heard the sheriff speaking in my office, so I figured he was done. And I'm tired of writing, so I need to wait.
So you want to go? Is that
Well,
what
I
you
was
want?
wondering if you guys don't mind, I can do it now, and then you guys would have. But it's up to you. I'm happy to come back at 2:30 as well.
There isn't any, can we do it now?
I say do it now. We were just gonna,
Yeah.
we were just on cemetery and we were gonna grab
Oh,
the others.
If you guys are doing something that I don't
No,
want to.
no. Take the hot seat.
Okay. Let me go get my book.
Well, I have it here for you.
I'm sorry.
They
Maybe better.
asked the sheriff to take out all but one position in Solo and one in jail and refigured to see where he's at with that.
Okay.
So he's coming back Monday afternoon.
Thank you very much. So did you go through any of his other stuff?
No, because it's all based on the person.
There's so
Right.
much of it that's connected to adding more staff. So that's
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Explain it.
So was that quick
What
then,
do you mean
everything
long
with the
as the
sheriff?
I didn't know. if you were
Yeah.
gonna be-
Good job.
Oh, no. I won't be involved.
Oh,
Okay,
so-
so he is white tab 1-28 and 1-33.
I can understand you needing a break from writing that brief because you've been doing that all weekend and for days now.
That case has been with me for 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
What happened to swift justice?
Well,
Doesn't
the
exist.
person's convicted, so
Oh.
the wheels of justice grind slower.
You need anything else? Or you good?
I think I'm good. Just kind of get oriented.
So salaries went up because you're asking to add a public guardian, is that right?
Yeah, we can start there. So traditionally in the district attorney's office, there's always been a social worker or an employee designated to handle the guardianships. And I've explained this history before. Around 2014, maybe 2013, the district attorney's office brought in a guy named Marcus Heimbrook to be the public guardian. And the way that it works is
He was the code enforcer.
right. Well, that's how it ended up. That's how it ended up.
But that's what he
So-
did, was public.
By statute, in certain rural counties, the county commissioners, they can appoint a public guardian, and that public guardian can be anybody. And for a long, long time in Pershing County, the county commissioners have appointed the district attorney's office. And it makes sense to do that because what ends up happening generally is
The appointed guardian, if it's not an attorney, will go to the district attorney's office for legal assistance anyway. And so we just kind of cut that step out. But to go back to Marcus Heimbrook, he was appointed as a deputy public guardian. Jim Shirley was appointed as the public guardian. And then Jim hired Marcus to be the actual deputy guardian. And that entails a lot of work, like filling out Medicaid applications, going and visiting the wards, taking them to dentist appointments, taking them to hospital appointments, visiting them while they're in long-term care, when they pass away, securing their assets, administering their estate, doing all of that good stuff. And Marcus would organize all of that, and then he would bring it to me as the deputy district attorney, and I would help him prepare a petition to be appointed as a guardian. Or I would prepare a petition or a motion to ask the court permission to sell real property or certain assets, or even to have someone placed into a long-term care center. But for the most part, I, as the deputy DA, didn't have to go out and visit wards, although from time to time I would, because Marcus did that. So Commissioner Schenck brought up that eventually Marcus became the code enforcement officer because he was doing, well, let me back up. He was originally hired to be code enforcement, okay? But code enforcement's hard because you constantly have to tell people no. And I mean, so Marcus kind of gravitated to the
Public guardian.
guardianship stuff.
Was it
And then
like
eventually-
a 50-50 thing maybe? Like
That's how it was.
Yeah,
That's how it started
yeah.
out. But
That
then
was
it just
like we were talking
became,
about Cheryl. That's how we created like those two
Yeah.
positions.
you're right. So I inversed the hiring, but he was initially hired to be code enforcement, and then he just gravitated to the guardianship stuff. And then he kind of became the de facto full-time public guardian. And then he left to become a probation officer.
Well, he also did drug testing too,
Right,
for the drug court.
right. So he wore a lot
We
of
do that
hats.
a lot.
But what I'm leading up to is that in 2015, I told the county commissioners that we would not try to fill Marcus's position, and that I would try to take that responsibility on and kind of delegate some of those responsibilities to my staff, which is fine. I mean, our head is above water, but it's a pretty big burden for the district attorney. You're paying me to be a legal counsel. You're not paying me to be a social worker, and you're not paying me to go to people's homes and clean out their homes after they die, or to clean out their storage sheds and things like that. So, you know, I kind of came up with this idea because, you know, we've had a few homicides in the past year, and those take a lot of time from a legal standpoint. And then I mentioned this murder case that's on post-conviction relief, and we've generated thousands of pages of documents in that case, and there's thousands of pages to review, and that takes a lot of time. So, you know, when I find myself dividing my time between legal stuff that I'm actually hired and trained to do, or going and cleaning out a storage shed, I think the county's not paying me to do this, and I'm happy to do it. It's actually a part of my job that I enjoy, because it's a good contribution to the community. And after making people angry by, you know, and making family members angry, it's nice to go visit someone like CJ Hunter, who's one of my wards, or Roberta Sims. You know, go over to Roberta's house and visit her, and you can just kind of feel good about what you're doing. But it becomes a burden, and I think it impacts ultimately how well my office functions and how efficient we are. So that's why I'm asking for permission to advertise to hire either a full-time social worker to be a deputy public guardian, or someone equivalent to that. And I would note that my office also used to have two deputies, two attorneys, and we're down to one. And so not only has my office saved the county money by not hiring a full-time guardian for the past 6 years, but we've also been down an attorney for the past 2 years that we have not asked permission to replace.
Right.
So that's where I'm coming from. If the county's not in a position to do that, I'm not gonna be bitter about it. You know, there's only so many slices of the pie that can go around. But I'm just asking that if there's a slice for my office,
You want the
yes.
Well, I think it's time. And then you're also dealing with people that have mental issues too. And we're not specifically trained, you know, for.
Well, yeah, and that can be difficult. I get more and more requests these days to be appointed as the guardian of people who have schizophrenia or other types of medical issues. And yeah, that becomes very difficult to deal with.
Got to be.
From a legal aspect, I'm fine preparing the petitions. You know, I'm fine going to court and making those arguments, but you know, sitting down and trying to console somebody, I'm not trained to do that. And sometimes, you know, I try to do it, and sometimes I think, you know, I really wasted their time and my time because they don't feel any better about the situation that they did.
And you don't feel good because.
Yeah, because I wasn't effective.
Yeah. So how many do you have right now?
Wards?
Wards.
We have around 8 or 9.
Mhm. And then are there any in nursing homes right now?
Yeah, we have all but 2 of our wards, 3 of our wards are in nursing homes.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot. And I have a question about B. Allen, the Ursa Grant.
Yeah. Mhm.
Is that something we have right now?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, help me out here. What is that? Is that
Ursa.
Ursa? But what is it?
It's a special grant that we get that pays for the majority of her part-time salary. How much does it pay? 66%. So 66% of that $30,000, well, 66% of the total, the 50,171 is going to be paid for by the Ursa Grant.
And is that for child support?
And that's for child support.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was
And
just
the
kind
reason,
of guessing. I couldn't.
the reason for that is because Elizabeth has been appointed, and it's a nice feather in Elizabeth's cap. She's been appointed to a position to where she's going to be training other offices for a new program for child support throughout the state. And it's nice that we have a subject matter expert in Pershing County on child support like Elizabeth Blondheim. But that's going to take a lot of Elizabeth's time. And she'll have to travel around and be going to different offices, and Braylon will stand in for Elizabeth while Liz is doing those trainings.
So you're proposing to make her full-time.
Correct. Yep.
And what happens, Carol, is Liz, I have to give Liz printouts, and then she invoices the state for this grant, usually quarterly.
Okay.
And then we get the money back in.
Okay. I don't have a problem with adding the public guardian. I think it's past time.
Yeah.
For that, because you have picked up a lot of that and saved money, and it is true they did used to have another attorney in the office because of the
It was Jack.
Burning Man. It was Jack, yeah.
Jack and Todd, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack was a Burning Man attorney, and then in 2015 he became the deputy, and Todd was a Burning Man attorney, and then Jack retired and Todd became the deputy.
And there was supposed to be Burning Man funds to pay for part of that, but I don't think Bryce ever took. I think they all went to one.
Not the last few years, because he's allowed the sheriff's department to use
his portion.
Yeah. Which I don't know. We'll see if that will continue, but.
So on this public guardian, are you going to look more and more of a social worker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll advertise it generally, and we'll include a little blurb in there that says, you know, social work experience, and a degree would be preferred, but it's not necessary for the position. Yeah. And, you know, we'll see if we can attract somebody. It takes a special person, I think, to do the guardianship stuff. So, and I'm not saying that by any means is me. That's why I'm asking for a public guardian.
Yeah, but you and your staff have done a really good job all these years.
Yeah, I have good staff for sure.
Mhm. So would it be okay if we go to services and supplies? Are you guys ready for that? The first one, we've already spent more than the projection. Miscellaneous services and supplies, we've spent $554 or $55. and we have 500 down. We need to change that amount just to even cover what. You can use the ruler if you want to.
It's got better eyesight than the rest of it.
So do we want to take it up to
600 or something?
Well,
Or
yeah, I
don't
would say
know. I don't know
Yeah.
what comes out of that.
probably 615.
615. And then,
15?
yeah, I
Well,
know.
only because in 2018 and
It was
2019
614.
Right, so
Yeah, I kind of
I'm
got
giving
that
myself some room to work. Yeah, but I've already
Dollar
exceeded it.
inflation.
I've already exceeded it.
Well, he rounded up.
Right.
So for next year, is the 500 going to be okay for right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Phone and fax.
Don't let them baffle you.
Me? Are you talking to me?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm fine. I'm
Well,
fine
we're
with the
not
500.
done yet.
I'm fine with the 500.
We give a little and we take a little
So
away.
it's a give
So-
and take, right?
So phone and fax, I think last year it was less than 2,000. Can we go down to 2,000 for this year?
I would feel uncomfortable doing that because I did a survey of all of the phones in my office and we need to replace every single one of them.
Well, we didn't put that in capital. Did we put phone in capital improvements?
I thought we did.
I
but,
thought so
you know,
too.
I'd have to look.
I think we did.
I was told, and that's supposed to be my one big project.
Yeah.
Next fiscal year. is
Yeah.
doing the phone system.
There's 6 multi-line telephones.
Right. So I'm not replacing the lines, I'm replacing the actual physical phones
Yeah.
themselves because they're just old. On my phone, sometimes my phone will just randomly hang up on people because I don't think the connection's.
Yeah,
very
sure.
good.
That's the excuse. Oh, my phone.
See how I set that up? Oh,
I have an extra phone in the Carter Auditor's office on hand that you should come in and try because
okay.
I got a few new ones from CC Communication and I didn't tell them that they never invoiced me for them. I'm not gonna refresh their
A
memories
couple of
now.
years ago, we had,
Mhm.
I think it was your office.
But
We had
seriously, I
several
do
that
have,
broke and we had to fight.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were hard to find.
We're probably not complying with
Yeah, no, they were
For our
hard to find.
system?
When Rita and I
that.
got
Or
the
for our
phone.
current system, we're probably not gonna, I mean, maybe on eBay.
but I do have an extra one.
Okay.
But if we go to a new phone system, that'll include the new phones.
That'll include new desk phones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for next year, we're gonna do that. So if you can get by.
I've already been talking with several different possible providers.
Mhm. So for this year though, could we lower it to 2,000 and next year as well?
So I've always maintained the 3,000 and I
Yeah,
would feel more comfortable keeping it
I
as
would,
that.
I would agree with Bryce because we don't know what kind of overlap.
Mhm.
As we go into this new phone system.
Okay, Justin.
I know,
Okay.
I know.
I knew it would pay off to have Justin's office right by mine.
He thinks
Well,
share space.
that's the other thing. is-
I gotta make my landlord
Yeah, but that's the other issue with the public guardian. You're gonna want Justin's office back, right?
Yeah,
So,
So much for
but I
that.
didn't want to say that until I
Zero out.
yeah, with all of his cool equipment in there too.
So where are we gonna put Justin?
well,
If
I
not-
only know of one office and I don't know that that even would work, so. Well, yeah. Ugh,
You know, it's not something that we have to worry about immediately, you know, because I'm not gonna advertise until after July. And
How fast can we get the law enforcement center built?
We talked about that when you were gone too.
Yeah.
Rita and I don't know how we're gonna make a payment on a lawn.
Mhm. Yeah,
I don't know where we're gonna come up with 1.5 million to get, the sheriff's gonna rework his stuff, but I still think we're gonna have a huge shortfall,
We are.
huge.
even if we issue a bond to pay for it,
We still have to have the revenue to pay that bond.
yeah,
Our
but how much is
fund
it? What's
balances
the?
are going down, Bryce.
Oh, okay.
We need to wait to do
And
any
like
of this.
the general
until-
obligation bond, we still have to have the revenue to back it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so office or office supplies.
So are we leaving the phone at 3,000 and 3,000?
I'm gonna come back to that because he's gonna want
Why
to
don't we
increase
go-
office supplies.
Why don't we go with 2,500
Okay,
for
for
this
what?
year?
Are we back on the phone?
Are we back on
Yeah,
the phone?
back on the phone.
Thank you.
And for next year.
Okay, thank you. That makes up the deficit there. And then we have a problem with office supplies.
And, you know, office supplies, I don't think historically we've gone above $2,000.
Last year you had 2,685. But we're not, 23 is fine. We can leave it at 23.
Okay.
Computer supplies. Oh, postage. Do you send out the, why, can we lower postage?
Yeah, we can.
1,500?
Yeah, that's
That-
good.
is that okay?
For both years?
If that's all right with you,
Yeah.
yes. Code enforcement. Okay.
Let's
that-
go with 1,000.
For code enforcement,
Yeah.
both years?
Yes.
Thank you. Attorney fees.
Attorney's fees and investigations, I don't like to mess with that because I never know.
Yeah, unpredictable.
Yeah. Code enforcement vehicle expense
I think that can be 1,500.
for both years?
Yep.
Okay. Doing a great job, Bryce. Thank you. Fuel. Oh, fuel's gonna go
It's gonna
up.
go up.
Yeah, it is.
Leave that one alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uniform allowance.
So she's had a uniform allowance and she was given one this year. She hasn't purchased anything. In 2016, 17, when she started, she got a uniform budget just to buy some clothing to wear when she's out in the field and things like that. And it's been 2 or 3 years since she purchased anything. So either, you know, she's gonna buy it this year or she's gonna buy it for next year.
Does she have a jacket or something that says code? She should,
Yeah,
shouldn't she?
she
Or
definitely should.
t-shirts or something.
Well, we have 2 uniform allowance line items. There's one specifically for her and then just 250 for, were you gonna get something in your office for others or?
So we could show up the 11th Judicial District Court.
Yeah, they have fancy
Just
stuff.
Do they have stuff?
They do.
Yes.
They do, and I get
They
them
order
brief
from
about it
that
all
one
the
place
time.
all the time.
All the time.
Jasmine comes me
Like,
all the time.
nice
for cute
jackets.
for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they're
It has their little
beautiful. They spend
emblem
a lot of
and it's
What do
nice.
they-
It's like,
What are they, like shirts and
They
stuff
have
or
like
what?
polos and I
Yeah,
don't know what
and
else.
Yeah, they're all
they
in
have
one.
They'll
nice
have
jackets.
the thing on that. Yeah.
They have nice jackets and I like to give them. brief
Wow.
about it.
Well, we do
So-
have a new embroidery person down at the end of town that might. be
Yeah, we
cheaper.
do. Yeah.
She might do it cheaper. Yeah.
Where, who is with that?
Coach
Ann?
announced
Crow's Nest Plaza.
Stephanie Bryant,
Oh,
and her embroidery is beautiful.
And they do like screen printing
Yeah.
and stuff too.
I didn't know. That's great. Thanks.
There you go, Bryce.
So-
That whole plaza is like
I
filling
know.
up.
I will say this, you know, I joke with the 11th Judicial District Court about it. But it is it's nice for employees to be able to wear that stuff because I think it creates some unity and some cohesion in the office, frankly. I mean, I don't
Well,
know
and
how
too,
you
like,
guys-
I mean, we don't have anything, but like when we go to conferences, like,
Yeah.
all the other counties have
Yeah,
those jackets or
Yeah.
polos or something. That they wear. when we
School
go.
district.
So we'll leave that alone. Okay. Victim,
So the code enforcement one doesn't have anything for the current year.
no, so is she gonna get something this year or are you gonna wait till next year?
I'll have to talk to her about it.
Yeah, she should get something for this year.
Okay.
So what do we do? Put 100 in there or 250 back or what?
So for the 2021 budget, it was 250. She spent nothing. So I would just ask that you leave it at 250.
Okay.
And then, you know, maybe for the next year.
We can leave it at 250.
Okay.
You've cut enough of the other things that
Okay.
that it helps. Now,
So do we want, before we go on, do we want to put the 250 under the line item that says code enforcer uniform?
that's where I put it, yeah.
And then zero out the line above it that just says uniform allowance?
No, because
think
I
that's
thought
for the district
that's for
attorney's
his office. That's for his office. So what we did is actually add 250.
Yeah.
The one that says code enforcement and you have 2,500 in the budget, what is that for?
There's no history or anything.
Let's see what that count.
It's a DA slush fund. I'm joking. It's for training and things like that.
Okay.
Trainings and certifications.
So is she going to do anything this year?
I was hoping that she would. Usually there's let me make sure that that's not, no, the 1,500 down below is for training. I'm not sure what that is. I think it may just be a mistake. It's not in there in previous years, Reen.
I'm trying to bring it up to see what that account name is because I can get cut off.
Is that when she wouldn't have to hire somebody to do cleanup or anything like that?
I don't know
Because there's 3 code enforcement accounts.
So the one on the next page, the 058 one is the training.
Right,
for
that's-
1,500.
Yeah, that's training. Oh, you know what? You know what the 2,500 is? It shouldn't read code enforcement. That's the 2,500 is for district attorney, our CLEs and our training that we have to get for Todd and I.
So it should be 52,406,000.
Yes.
And take out the 058.
Okay.
So that'll be training.
That's DH.
DA training.
Okay. Enforcement.
So what I think we ought to do where it says travel on the last 3 numbers, it says travel and it's 0 and then we have 058 for code enforcement. You guys see that at the bottom of the page. I think that should be lumped into travel and that amount should be $3,000. But that would cover traveling for trainings, training costs.
So you want your training and your travel combined? Is that
Well,
what you're saying? Because if I change the 52,406 to have 3 zeros.
No, never mind. Okay, so you're going to, instead of code enforcement, you're just going to rewrite that and say training.
DA training.
DA training. Okay, never mind. That's good then. But I don't think I need. So I marked that as 1,000 for this year, and you know,
The DA training.
no, for the travel. The training, I would like to leave it as is.
He's on the code. Are you on the code enforcement one?
No, I'm sorry.
Which one?
I'm on 058 for training, DA training.
Okay. Okay. So you have.
And the 2,500. There's been nothing used, but I want to
Printed
leave
code
it.
enforcement. We're changing it to be
Yeah,
Yeah.
the problem is the 058 designates everything for code
code
enforcement.
enforcement.
So I'm sorry, for this year, then you've got 2,500. Are you going to lower that or you need the 2,500 for DA training?
No, I want to leave that.
Okay, and 25 for next. And then the travel is just travel.
And he wants that at 1,000 this year, right?
Okay,
So the
It's
700.
actually 700.
Yeah.
The projection.
so is that okay?
700?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's.
And up it to 2,000 next year.
Yeah, but it was 3,000 in
Yeah.
2019-20, and we actually went above that in 18 and 19.
So what's meals for? Who are you feeding?
Meals are when we're doing guardianship visits, or we're
Oh.
going to meetings with other DAs, or going to DA association meetings, or code enforcement is out on the road and, you know, they need to eat
Yeah.
lunch.
And lodging. Training. Registration fees.
This little 058 right here is for code enforcement,
The first one or the second one?
the first one. That is for equipment. We bought Fran a GPS because she's clear out in the middle of nowhere a lot of the times.
Okay, I thought that was for her training.
No, that's up above.
490 is travel, isn't it?
I'm on the next
In this
page.
system where it just is putting code enforcement and not the remaining of the description.
Yeah, but I'm just going off what I recollect from my own. I can go up and get my book.
Isn't it 058 for code enforcement?
Yeah,
For several different.
but it's not
areas.
distinguishing. It's not distinguishing.
What is, yeah,
Oh. So that would be equipment, and then next one down for $1,000.
so I'm sorry, the first code enforcement one, that is for equipment or
Our
The
training.
52,490.
52,490.
Yeah. So on the second page in my budget,
Mhm.
52,490-058 code enforcement. It's for equipment,
That's for equipment.
like GPS. I'd like to get her a really nice spotting scope so that she doesn't have to go out on property. I know
Yeah.
that sounds creepy,
No, but I
Right.
understand.
But yeah,
and by really nice, I'm not talking about a Shaworsky or anything like
but
that.
something that'll work for
Yeah.
what she does.
Right.
Well, it's not really equipment, right? It's supplies.
I get so mad because they won't.
It's equipment. I mean, equipment supplies, whatever.
52,490, I believe, in every other budget is named travel.
Yes, because
For
above
code
it, it says
enforcement?
lodging.
Let me go up and get my book because I'm totally screwed up. Because it doesn't designate, it doesn't distinguish what
I
it
know,
is.
and on this report, it's showing code enforcer, but it should be code enforcer travel, code enforcer
'cause
training.
52,490 by itself is travel.
That's what I,
Okay.
yeah.
But we haven't fiddled with the numbers. I mean, registration and fees, that is for code enforcement training.
Okay, because that says 050, so it should say 058. Right?
Okay, but again, I think the 52,491 is truly called training.
Uh-huh, yeah.
The last three numbers designate
Code.
registration fees of training or code enforcement training. And I apologize, I hate how this system does that.
Can I go grab my book?
Sure.
Because I don't know where I'm, sorry. I thought I would save time and I'm.
You
Well, I
did,
thought I
you're fine.
could, But it's not.
Cooperate.
Well, is it not connect, what's it not doing?
We are at all of our facilities. We are at the edge of what we can accomplish with what.
Yeah, so do you need my hotspot or something? Oh,
It's not.
And it's telling me low network service. Your network connection is unstable.
And it's
And
on
it's
the other
plugged
end because you're doing so much off of the one internet connection in the admin.
Oh.
And
see, I was thinking the hotspot is a totally separate thing.
I thought it was
it's
too.
still, well,
So is it not connecting to? the
it's
hotspot?
not the hotspot. It's not the hotspot. It's not a direct connection. It's not like running a line all the way across the street.
No, but I thought it was Verizon satellite or whatever that is.
It's on.
Oh.
Because we have a pipe this wide, and what we really need is a pipe this wide.
Yeah, it's just when NNIS goes down at my house, then I turn my hotspot on, which is Verizon, and then I have internet.
Yeah, that's actually a whole
Different thing.
different thing. That's their pipe coming unhooked.
Yeah. And see, I was thinking that her hotspot would be the same as my hotspot is at home,
That's what I
which is
thought.
a
I thought I
totally
would
different.
connect all right here and not even go.
Yeah, it's just totally separate.
You have to go because you're accessing information on a server.
Oh, on the server.
You
Oh,
have to get
yeah,
to the
got it,
actual
got it,
extension.
got it. Because it's not on her computer,
No,
it's on the,
not
yeah,
on her machine.
yeah, sorry.
So when we get to me, I can talk more. I'll talk more on what I'm trying to do to solve that.
Well, just so you know,
Right.
the dollars aren't there.
I know. And that's the trouble. We can have whatever we want if we're willing to pay for it.
One conversation we did have briefly, Carol, when you were in the meeting is we need to move some tax revenue monies into different areas. Like
Yeah, the library, for instance, they have a huge ending fund balance. I wasn't gonna bring it up when she was here, but we need to lower that for them and put it.
Yeah, and Reen and I can't find anywhere where it says that it has to be that. So
Yeah.
And I briefly mentioned it to Bryce, but he has got his other challenge that he's got to finish
Yeah.
first before he can. move
Yeah,
on.
but that was the first thing I thought of when I saw her ending fund balance, and then I'm not too happy anyway.
What was my comment?
Well, we're not mandated to have to.
No, and the other thing is, I can go on. I don't need to
Okay.
go on with that because
But we have to have more revenue from someone.
yes, and that's one of the things I was thinking, and I was gonna.
So
look
let
at
Bryce
it, so
Do
I'm
his
glad you
stuff.
guys talked about that, so.
So I think your report's gonna be the same as what I have.
But if they're not gonna provide the service.
Yeah, but this is the one from 2 years ago, and I'm just looking at how it's
Yeah.
referenced. Yeah,
And that's the only control we have. anyway.
okay.
Okay, you got your magic folder?
Yes,
You look tired, Bryce, I'm sorry.
no, it's just I'm old. I'm getting old.
You're so far from old, don't give me that crap.
So small equipment and tools, I don't really see a need. If you'd like me to cover each one of these from lodging on down, we could probably, I'm hesitant to touch the lodging because I don't know what type of training we're gonna be required to have between now and the end of the fiscal year. So I'd rather leave it at $1,000. Yeah. That code enforcement item, you can see that I reduced it down to $1,000 from 1,500.
But what is that? Is that equipment or training or what? Or do you know?
I don't know. It doesn't say on this one either.
Okay, that's fine. I just, because I was trying to figure out.
It does on my budget when I'm actually submitting it, but it doesn't on here.
Registration fees, code enforcement. Yeah, because you have several code enforcement. Oh, capital outlay for next year.
So, yeah, but with capital outlay, so my office, we need new computers. And 2 years ago, it was in the capital outlay budget for my office for new computers. And it didn't happen for whatever reason, but I had 2 computers fail. And so we had to replace them out of my small equipment and tools budget this year. So I'm gonna need a new computer, Todd's gonna need a new computer, Abby's gonna need a new computer. Sandra's gonna need a new computer, Elizabeth needs a new computer, Cassandra needs a new computer, Braylon needs a new computer. So that's 7 new computers. A guardian, he or she's going to need a new computer as well. With monitors.
So the one thing we need to change, Bryce, is each computer, workstation and monitor is under the $3,000 limit.
Yeah,
So the only thing that can be under capital outlay is the 42,000. The remaining amount is going to have to be moved down to smaller.
Is this a different server than what we had in the capital project?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that, because in capital improvements, we have a 25,000 for a server for your office. Is this, like Lacey said, is this an additional one?
yeah, it's a new one. It's an upgrade, right?
It's for replacing.
Yeah.
So do we have it in your budget?
We have
No,
20
it's
in
in-
the building. We have 25 in the building fund.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the server.
And then you have it here too.
I don't have 25 in there.
We
you have 42.
42.
Is it the same server? Is what I'm at.
Okay. No, yeah, it is the same server.
So we can take it off here
Mhm.
because it's in the.
Or part of it, because we only have 25 and
So 17. Keep 17 in there.
For the server?
I make 25 in for capital outlay.
Yeah.
In the building.
And just to be clear, that's going to be a server and backup solution for the new server.
does the 42 cover both of those things?
It should more.
So between the 25 we have in capital improvements and the 17 he has here, then we'll be okay.
I think the 25.
So
We're just looking at a server and back with server 25.
So we can take it out of this budget, and then if we have to increase in the capital improvements, because we don't know yet, we're going to get some money probably, but we have at least 25 in there.
We like the $5,000 buffer just.
330.
Just
Change
to
the
be sure
42 and the DAs to like 10.
Change
Yeah.
the 42 to 10.
And that gives them 35.
5, yeah. Okay.
And then, like I said, Bryce, those workstations, monitors, and laptops, I'll move down to small equipment
Okay.
because of the $3,000.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do that later. I'm just going to put C attached and refigure it all later.
Okay.
And then do we have another one for Bryce?
1-33, because the check restitution.
There's not much going on with that, is there?
No, there's not. Very few people actually
Write checks anymore, yeah.
So I was going to give it one last go this year
Mhm.
to see if it's still relevant. And if it's not, then we'll remove that program from what we're doing.
Okay. That sounds like a great idea.
But, you know, a lot of it depends on the economy. So.
Now, funny enough, the return checks that my office gets are usually from justice court.
Really?
Yeah.
So I apologize for it not being labeled correctly.
That's not
Your fault.
Well.
It's just the finance software.
Yes, it
And
is.
I don't know how to get it to change. I mean, it's in the description on screen, but when it prints to the reports, it's not printing correct.
Does it need to go in front or something and with the initials, you know, the
Because
description?
they imported from ADS over there and, you know.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if there's a way that, you know, maybe I can change it to be.
Abbreviated or
Yeah, it's
something.
just catching the last 3 digits meaning code enforcer, but not explaining what.
Yeah.
One thing I want you to be aware of on the capital outlay and the, or at least for the small equipment and tools, some of those computers and the monitors are going to be paid for with state funds. 66% of everything that's purchased for child support is going to be reimbursed, which isn't a great deal of money, but it's something. So.
So will that come under that Ursa incentive?
It will, yeah.
So maybe I need to increase that a little bit for revenue.
Is your staff just gonna have one monitor and are they gonna have two?
I think,
Because having two is a good thing.
yeah, they're gonna get big ones like the ones Justin has,
Yeah, we, in my office, we have the.
like a 30 inch or something.
It splits.
One really
Yeah.
size.
Yeah.
They're ultra wide.
Yes.
What is it?
Ultra wide.
Ultra wide, okay.
They are 16:9 aspect ratio, so they're not as tall, but they're long.
Karen needs one.
Barry still has two separate monitors, but she likes it that way. so.
Because she gets confused.
Okay.
I
so
can
let's-
tell you that your mind is busy with the other things. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Larry. Okay.
So did Dan bring this back?
Yeah.
Thanks, Rena.
Yeah, okay. thank you. That's really good to see that, because then we can figure out. And I have a feeling